showing up more actually in-game. Twisted Minds, after that using Shin Steel, how do they answer this powerful two-pick swing?
I feel like, is this an Alice game? Because I feel like that was the problem with the 1-1 yesterday. It was so hard to actually get the airtime you needed when you had an Alice across from you. But right now, neither team really contesting for that. They go with the Harith. You mentioned this earlier. It's going over the side for Twisted, but now also the Hylos here.
Oh, I think TNC will go. They can pick up their roam later. Their jungler, I think, needs to come through now.
What are we thinking? The Lance or the Haya?
I think I lean a little bit more towards Lance. I wouldn't want to see them consider going for a tanky jungler. Although they could consider a Fredrin, but with the Glorious Pathway and Zaman Force, that's extra legwork for the Juice in. And if they do go Fredrin here, then that means they need something equally tanky for Chaknu, so that it doesn't put so much pressure on the jungle to front line.
Yeah, it's not just Zyda.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hayabusa.
but this is Zyda we're talking about. Assassin extraordinaire. I think you'd be wasting a good part of his kit as an athlete if you forced him on utility. So if we're going fast, the Frederick can do that, but this is Zyda. I assume that he made this call.
And I think they might also be looking at the possibility that it'll be an artillery mage on the side of Twisted Minds. Yep. They took out the Kimi. Let's see if they'll still take on the far side, maybe even the Eve. But then I wouldn't be surprised if Twisted Minds decides to go for another long-range option like the Novaria. We do have to consider that the Angela is still open for both teams and might be banned here in the second phase.
The Angela and the Alice combo.
Unless they attack the Farsa Kag. Those are also good mid laners left for Sean. And there's the Farsa, his quote-unquote secret weapon. It came out late into Season 16, and teams just assumed that he didn't have one. Apparently, he's really good at it. Even scored an MVP win over that. The Gatot banned out by Twisted.
Okay, so they're going to go with some more roam options for the Mamba. I'm wondering what he's going to actually play here, though, too.
What he ends up with.
Yeah, like, what does he end up with? Because, you know, these are very strong roam picks that are being banned out, and you kind of expect Chaknu to be playing one of these heroes anyway. So what's going to be left is maybe, what, the Kufra? I don't know if he's actually going to be... Like, we've seen Chaknu also play the Angela, for example, you know? But I don't know if that's going to be the case here.
You still have the pick-off roamers still available, such as the Franco and the Kaja. And with the lack of burst, though, they might not go for the pick-off since they're playing around the Juice in.
Yeah.
What if Matilda?
That's true.
I am not the only
Where's the interplay going to be coming from? So,
the XP. Because there's still an XP lane.
Yeah. So if ever they go Matilda, okay, with Arlot Phoveus down, that leaves the trade to Esmeralda, Lapu, Uranus as the main things that you're going to be going for here.
I wouldn't like the Uranus. I think they need a little more crowd control.
I think more than anything, TNC should just lock in the Esmeralda now. Can't go wrong with it with the remaining heroes that we have on the table. Lapu, Yura, just pick up the Esme for 3 more, considering that the Arlot is gone as well. The Lapu, again, if they pick up Lapu here, then they pick up Matilda, okay, then the Esmeralda or the Uranus at that point will end up to the Twisted Minds. So, 2 Twisted Minds, Esmeralda being better. So, I'd like them to pick up Esme.
Oh, there's the Alice.
Okay.
Joseph called this.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I was thinking that Twisted would want that. So I think TNC was like, well, if we don't take it, it's most likely going to be picked up, put in the XP lane. And that's already a ton of initiation, but also peeling and threat that if you have a Hylos plus an Alice, you got to deal with.
It's a happy medium between a Lapu Lapu and a Uranus. You have the sustainability, and then you have that edge of this crowd control.
Very strong level 2, and if Twisted Minds needs a bit more sustained damage, alright, the quick cooldowns of the Lapu Lapu should help deal with the Alice later on. One of the tankier presences, and they do pick up one of the Sean favorites this season, although we didn't see him pick it as much in the second half. It is the Kagura. Roam pick for Chaknu. They need to go tanky. If they go Esmeralda here, might not be enough to deal with the raw damage. With the Gatot Kacha gone, though, they don't have another roamer that can pick up Revitalize.
Where do they go? Kufra?
Kufra would be okay. A Minotaur might not be tanky enough.
The only Revitalize I think of is Hilda. Like, that's literally all I think of.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
The Hilda?
I think the Hilda's pretty good at hunting the Harith and the Yushin down. But again, you lose utility. Like, she's very low on the utility scale.
And you're putting a lot of work on the Alice and the Jushin pick.
Yeah, Grok is banned out as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't Jawhead. Whoa.
Oh, hey, hey.
Whoa.
Only seen one other time in this season, and I'm pretty sure that was on JP.
I would say that had to be
Yeah.
JP.
Here's the Mamba with the Jawhead.
Yeah, we haven't seen it since week 1. Now it shows up week 8. And all right, TNC decided to subscribe the idea for RG lineups, which is more damage wins. We've actually started seeing more teams adapt that in the pro scene, where yes, you might be lacking a little bit of a front line, you don't have that much crowd control, but at this point, if you can kill the opposing team faster, then that's all the quote-unquote crowd control you need. That's all you need, damage.
Why mitigate when you can terminate? TNC got a lethal lineup. I can see this getting out of hand very quickly, going up against Twisted Minds, very fundamentally sound draft. Again, this is what you would expect from a draft from pre-Project Next. Let's see who's gonna take the first win, drawing first blood, scoring first in this best of 3. Game 1 between
Welcome to
TNC
Mobile Legends.
I like the fact that we're in this position after Project Next where you have some of these kind of compositions. You have some of these lineups and some of these more unique hero picks and certain compositions that are coming to the forefront in our meta. You know, like the Jawhead could actually work really well against this and this kind of lineup that we're used to seeing from Twisted.
Yeah, since they don't have a burst mage, they decided to apply the burst through their roamer and their jungler combined together. So that should be something that Twisted Minds needs to be careful of at the center of the map, despite them having a high loss. Look at the win rates. No wins yet for Kaloy on this high loss, interestingly enough. Well, this is the debut pick of Chatnu for this Jawhead.
3 of them, man.
Yeah, and 3 more.
Oh, already first blood on Nosha.
Whoa, okay. Hey, that's the usage of having the Jawhead here, though, too, in this lineup.
You popped the Purify, too.
Oh, that's not a good start there for Twisted Minds. They were straight up surprised, and now Twisted, they have to look at it as, all right, we can't give another kill. At this point, alarm bells are blaring already. You are up against a Jawhead. One of the reasons why he was huge in the meta earlier this year is because of how fast you can snowball around a Jawhead lineup.
Not only that, but they're going to be able to focus on Lance. He does pop the flicker. Chaknu didn't even burn his flicker earlier on, so he's still holding on to it. Zyda's now joining the fight in the middle lane. He'll pop the shadow kill, picks up Sean. They're still going to be going for more. Lancey finally falls, but it's all the pickings here in the mid lane. A double for Zyda, and he goes for the triple. That's a huge power spike for Zyda this early on.
3-0, already a start. I can't imagine him doing that with the likes of a Fredner or a Baksha.
Exactly what we were talking about earlier in terms of just the Jawhead and the Hayabusa, very strong in the early to the mid game, even for counter punish. Twisted Minds, I thought they were going to be... Whoa, Lansu!
That's the bravest fighter if I've ever seen one. He gets the turtle and he gets out.
The Admiral pillaging the turtle. What? Zyda did not press the retribution.
His retribution was still on cooldown. So the cooldown of the retribution ended just a second or 2 after the turtle was already taken.
Right when he needed it.
Yeah, so I think someone in Twisted Minds provided the info that amidst all of the chaos in the center of the map, that Zyda used his retribution, and that's why Lansu decided to commit his flicker and ultimate, because he knew there would be a chance he could take it away from the Haya without the retri.
Wow, what are the odds on that? It was like a 4-5% chance the timing would have been perfect. Zyda couldn't even time a basic attack or some shurikens. And here comes Chaknu on Sean. He's fine. Rush Umbrella Flea is such tech now.
Yeah, it is. Sean, though, might still have to be careful here. 3-Mar was there. But that's one of the things. Like I said, Chaknu's been very good at holding on to his flicker, too. Benny Cutie might feel the pressure here, but luckily he'll be fine. The rest of the team's going to rotate down. Potentially, they are waiting there patiently to see if Kaloy makes his way back up.
Yeah, typical rotation for a lineup that has a 1-1 and a Harith. If they don't get the Yisun Shin, post-turtle 2 or around turtle 2, post-turtle 1, they decide to rotate downside, but they couldn't get the pick onto Benny. I feel like they could be doing a little bit too much at the center of the map. I know they already got a pick onto Nosha early on, but they can do a little bit more just to get Benny Cutie out of lane right away, because if they focus too much on the center of the map, they might be surprised that, wait, even though we got the kill onto the Harith still got to catch up, and then Benny Cutie is wondering, wait, I was winning lane. Oh yeah, it's because we didn't get the 1-1 out of the lane fast enough. So TNC needs to commit a few more rotations towards the gold side, and if they can, get this turtle. Because if Twisted Minds gets this, they even things out.
I concur, Doctor. But it's unfortunate. The turtle keeps spawning in the upper quarter of the map. I think TNC is happy with just kind of keeping neutral or winning these side lanes. Twisted Minds here first, putting down the turtle to 8th with its health.
Yeah, they're going to blitz this. Chaknu jumps in, but MP gets the turtle with a retribution. He'll go and ejector Kaloi. Not the target he wants to go for. Now Chaknu on the run. Zyda's going to join the fight, pops the shadow kill. We're going to take out a Kaloi, and they do that just there, right at the moment. Bravest Fighter still used. Lansu on the retreat, have to pop the flicker defensively, and TNC will get the kill.
It's a good trade. I'll take that any day. A turtle and Kaloi. That's TNC. I think they are losing out on these exchanges.
Yeah, good value. They're getting the kills, but Twisted Minds are keeping it close. And if they keep losing the objectives like this, and even though TNC's getting the kills, they're just gonna feel the power spike of the Harith come through. So you see Beniguti go now to the center of the map. He's double laning. I want to see TNC get a little bit more aggressive outside of the objectives, even more so. Because I feel like the speed of the game has bogged down just a little bit. But I think you could also attribute it to Twisted Minds are blocking the potential plays that Chaknu and Lancy could play.
Yep, the timer on this Jawhead is slowing down. I think he could go faster, given the age-old adage of a defensive Jawhead really isn't much of a useful Jawhead.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as a Hilda. Imagine Hilda defending in their own base. That's what a Jawhead that can't hide in bushes do.
Yeah, eventually he just... It might fall off a little bit. Actually going to be used. Going to go for Sean. Sean does hold on, though. He knows that he can get out with the fleet even if he had to. So it looks like TNC wanted to make a play down here. They don't make it happen. And 3mar is still on this side of the jungle. But look at the pressure across map. And Zyda's the only one there. They might go for a little bit of a push here. They transition themselves back to mid, though.
The longer this game stays relatively even and within the range of Twisted Minds to turn it around by Turtle 3 or worse for TNC, if Twisted Minds gets a big win at Lord 1, then it's going to be a tough climb for them. They're not playing around something like a Farsa with Burst that it's good for defense. Their Burst is great for offense.
NGL TBH, Lord 1 is looking better for Twisted Minds. They have better AoE, better easily accessible CC, and when Nosha starts fighting, when he gets that third item power spike, it's over. TNC are fighting for this last turtle with their life.
They're going to fight for it. Lansu from the Braves Fighters trying to zone Zyda out. He's trying to get there with the shadow. He gets the space. Will get the retribution off. And now TNC on the fight. MP so low. He finally goes down to Lancy, and Lancy brings Sean back. He's keeping the lantern right on top. Sean will have nowhere to go. Has a little bit of shield and actually escapes. But two members of Twisted go down. And they lose the turtle.
That's more like it, TNC.
Yeah, TNC Pro Team needed that win. Concealed by Chaknu.
Chaknu gets the Zaman force out from Nasha. Shadow Kill is going to be used. There's enough shielding there, though, too. But they can't take it. Wow, Lansu jumps in, takes out Chaknu. So TNC, after a win in that last team fight, will lose Chaknu on trying to get the mid-turret.
A bit of an overheat there, but they were trying to provide space for Beniguti. I think they also expected that Lancy would be holding on to a very strong defensive position under the tower in mid. So TNC needed that win, and through this, they can now start activating Beniguti to be more active with the rest of the team fights, as he spent majority of the game so far in lane. Corrosion Scythe and the Windtalker locked in for this 1-1, and that's a go signal. TNC can fight, and TNC can continue this aggression. Just be a little bit more careful, though. Be wary of the potential punish that Twisted Minds can show up.
501 already on Zyda. Can't say the same for MP the King. He's been struggling. I'm pretty sure Twisted Minds can also do better to protect their jungler. Or is it just MP the King puts himself in these weird situations? It's not like he has an easy answer to a Jawhead making a beeline for him, or worse, an Alice going straight at him. Some people would like that, though, but it's difficult to be the Yusin Shin right now.
Hey, I'll take that, you know, but...
of course you would.
I'll say this. Being the YSS for MP the King, it's going to have to come with a certain form of finesse, you know, for him to, especially when this Lord comes up here.
Potion.
Yeah, he has
Cuidado.
to. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just that.
And I think majority of the game so far, Twisted Minds did embrace the idea that, all right, we might be going for a little bit more of the counter. Yeah, we'll get the objectives, but up against a Jawhead and Hayabusa, they will fall behind in the speed. Speaking of speed, they're blitzing the Lord.
Yeah, they can. Look at this. Mount Shot going to confirm what they're doing. Kaloi blocking him.
Wow, what a decision from Twisted. They'll get themselves the Lord. Kaloi's going to be fine, sacrificing himself for that. That's something that Twisted needed. and we'll see if they can get anything off of this quick Lord Blitz.
Yeah, great read. Oh, what a toss!
Tossing up with the ejector, the flea there. Now Zyda jumps in on the back line with the shadow kill. He's able to find so many low members from Twisted. Nasha goes down, looking to go down. He's still up, dropping the Zaman Force, fights back, and oversteps 3mar. 3mar falls, but man, TNC, they'll get a tier 2 off of this.
Nosha says no to the wipeout. That was a close call.
Yeah, good thing he was able to get out of there. But 3mar, before he fell, it was his Throne of Ruin that helped set up that big win for TNC. He did get 2 stand up and immobilized. So even though he fell there in the end, I couldn't get the kill onto Nasha. He did his job.
Straight up ravaged a good chunk of Twisted Minds there, even underneath a turret. So the damage is done.
Yep.
Twisted Minds lost a good amount of their turrets. So mid lane all the way. Bottom lane, second tier almost going down. At least MP the King's buff still stood. That's where TNC kind of missed out. They focused hard on the wipeout instead of cleaning up the jungle side for Twisted Minds. So the gold lead should stay underneath 5K for now.
Okay, Lansu, instead of going for the Oracle, he goes for the route of rushing the Queen's Wings. This should help him hold the front down alongside Kaloy even better. Even though the Oracle could have healed a lot more through the Revitalize. Or I guess he wanted a little bit more offensive utility as well to get a little bit more damage with the Queen's Wings, considering that they do need a bit more of it.
Yeah, it's basically up to him and Kaloy to kind of hold down some of these paths that TNC has been taking throughout the fight. One of the difficult parts, though, is dealing with that back line. You know, you mentioned it earlier when 3mar jumps in with a Throne of Ruin, but then also you got to kind of keep track of where is Zyda. You know, that's what, there's so many things Twisted Minds has to keep track of. Meanwhile, they got to make sure that Benny Cutie doesn't get the airtime he's looking for with the crossbow of Tang. Oh, speaking of, Shadow Kill already used. Popping the Revitalize from Kaloy. I mean, again, Zyda, all he has to do is jump in, pop some damage, and gets the battle spell out.
Yeah, he had a fun time farming. He's already up to a BOD. He can quickly melt down that Harith already.
Oh, wait. Whoa, Twisted wants to choose the fight. They're going to go for this. Benny Cutie just around the corner. 3mar zoning out MP. He jumps back in, has the waltz. Chak will have to flicker defensively.
Sean!
They're waiting for more. Sean's able to do some damage, but also on the run himself. Shadow kill again for the second time, but Nasha gets away another time. So with TNC, they don't lose anybody. Sean is on the run.
Oh
Chak on the hunt. Can Sean actually pull something off here? Is he going to be able to do anything? He does go through. He's going to be chased, but he's going to be met by Zyda in the jungle. You can only run so much. Sean, is he breaking the ankles here? Finally, Zyda, the rest of the team, MP joins. Sean took a trip around the map and still survived.
Impressive. That was a run that could rival even the best from as far back as CKT these days on a Cho. TNC could not touch Twisted Minds. 12 minutes in, Twisted are actually making this work. They might actually take us to the 16, 17 minute mark.
Yeah, and it's important for Twisted's chances that Sean did not die there. He stays alive, meaning that Twisted Minds can afford to heavily contest this Lord, even though they're down 6K.
They're going to go for Chakdu. Chakdu can't withstand that setup from the bush. He goes down. No flicker to burn. They're down a member for this Lord. But TNC still wants to start it up, and Lancey disappears. Throne of Ruin going to be used, and they're going for Kaloy as Kaloy falls, and now the 4v3. TNC will back off the Lord. Twisted knows they have this advantage. How do they play this? They're still going to watch out for Zyda and Benny Cutie's damage, and they'll just go for the reset.
Oh, Twisted Minds have all the initiative here. They can be proactive, attack mid, attack the Lord. They got the man advantage, going for the pull, respecting, though, 3mar's possibility to entry suddenly from out of nowhere.
Yeah, that would help Zyda as he was relatively unmarked to the items now. The Harith still, okay, already locked in with 3 core items, should be good. But there is still a significant lead for the 1-1, who is up to the 4th core item, Berserker's Fury. So it's the crit-based 1-1 with powerful basic attacks. And of course, with the Windtalker there, that's an even a little bit of magic damage coming out of that 1-1.
I'm enjoying these XP laners and even these junglers sometimes, roamers even, building fully cursed helmets. We usually don't see that, but that DPS, hybrid defense debuff is so useful. Mount Shocker.
Oh, they're going to fight for this Lord here. There's so now Sean. Shadow Kill going to be used, but he gains enough space. They might go for the reset. Mount Shocker was already used too, and Kaloy out of the picture. Lord still health. Zyda will clear out out the Lord, and now Nasha falls to Benny. He gets a double. He's looking to find MP down in the bottom line too, and Lansu's on the hunt for Lancey, but he has 3 more to help him out, and now MP the king, he gets caught out with the crossbow of Tang. Benny Cutie picks up a 3rd kill there, making it 6. Lansu pops to win a crown. He's just trying to buy time, but even as brave as he is, he falls in the mid lane.
And it's just Sean left, a Lord marching in mid. TNC may have found a way inside the base.
TNC, they'll go ahead, take down the base turret. Lord up in the mid lane. This one will go down as well with the charge. Kaloy and Sean trying to delay this game a little bit further. Chaknu tries to get the ejector, throws Kaloy in. But Kaloy, tanky as hell, he'll deal with a lot of damage. Chaknu trying to get away. Nasha will be able to take Chaknu down. Can TNC end it here? They still have the Lord at half health. They're trying to clear the minions, but now MP's back up. He pops the Mountain Shocker and they'll clear out the Lord. Benny Cutie, 3 more, and Lancey. They see the base in sight. It's at a 4th of the health. Zyna jumping in, but they clear out the waves.
They're going to force it. They're going to force it.
See if they can force it here. The last wave on the bottom side is going to be cleared out. Zyna will pop that shadow kill. MP so low, he falls. And 3 more. Takes a couple shots from the base, but TNC still struggling to end it. They've got the wave up top. Sean trying to delay it. And now they'll back up. Lancey falls, a double for Nasha. Twisted defense so far.
The raw damage of a Harith, all the burst, the base damage that Twisted Minds have in their lineup, enough to hold on, to keep clearing minion waves. And TNC, probably there's people wondering there, why aren't they just locking the tower? There's too much burst. They needed to focus on the heroes down first because Twisted Minds were taking down minions way too fast.
TNC needed Chaknu in the base for the singular pickoff. They needed him, but he just respawned. And I think the call was, let's just wait for it, gentlemen. There's a Lord in a minute. And they will use this Lord. TNC freezing the lanes, delaying the amount of resources passively coming towards Twisted Minds' side of the map. 16 minutes in, and Twisted Minds are holding on. They are forcing TNC to take this past 20 minutes. But with this next Lord, which has all but TNC's name written on it, I think it might be over.
Yeah, Twisted, unless they pull off a miracle. I actually like the position here of TNC. 3mar is alone. He knows he can just hold the front. They can save Chaknu and the rest of TNC Pro Team to be a little bit closer to the Lord. Allow the Alice to be the one providing vision and the front line hold.
It's interesting how you know, you have this. So there's a winner crown for 3mar. You saw how much damage he soaked up too. He's just behind Kaloy there. And they use the Mountain Shocker. Are they going to go for something here? TNC, they are going to be pushed off this Lord, and Twisted wants to fight it. They want to contest this.
Look at Sean's placement is perfect.
Oh, they're going to go for it. 3mar jumps in with the Throne of Ruin. He's able to go ahead and set things up, but still keep an eye on Sean. He's going to go for this back line. Lansu in trouble. They're split up both sides. Zyna will jump forward. They take quite a bit of damage. Crossbow of Tang. There's the winner crown, though, being used by Kaloy to eat up some of the damage. Now Sean jumps in! What a yin-yang overturn! But here's Zyna once again. But there's so much damage coming out from Nasha. Zyna has to get out. Benny's trying to help him. He buys the immortality. And now Benny fires on Nasha! He will take him out, and he's going for MP! What a play for TNC!
Damn you, Benny! You give him the 1-1. He makes miracles happen.
And that's going to be at TNC. Benny, Cutie, and Zyna, what perfect work together to get them the dub in Game 1.
Deathless performance. Almost perfect for Benny Cutie. 1 game away from winning the series.
The Storm, Benny Cutie, and Zyna together. When you need your cores to step up, their cores step up. What an ending. I thought they were done for through Nasha. Pretty sure even Nasha was shocked, saying, wait, we lost that trade? We got them dead to rights.
Oh, the Phoenix Army is on fire.
Woo. I liked it. Hey, that was teamwork if I've ever seen it, man. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a great way to end the game. That, yeah, it was a little bit more TNC-sided, but because of the defense that Twisted Mind showed off, we saw Sean and Nasha being online. But then in the end, it was Benny Cutie and Zyna who was able to get the outplay on the Kagura and the Harith, who it was a game of inches at that point. You even saw Zaida buying immortalities, trading some items so that if ever he got taken out, they could survive. But it didn't even need to trigger. Zaida is the MVP of the game with the key retributions and the damage brought out by this Hayabusa. 10, 1, and 5. Him surviving alongside Benny Cutie was crucial for the TNC win.
A student of the game, a shinobi in the land of Dawn. Zaida is a product of the Mlbb amateur ecosystem in the Philippines, and here he is living his best life, his career under the Phoenix Army.
There's
He's
really
on fire.
He is, man. There's really not that many players that would pick up Hayabusa right now. Like if you think about how many times we've seen Hayabusa in since Project Next came out, it isn't that many. And Zaida, I mean, he started off with a triple, by the way, into this game, which then he scaled up, but he was still very decisive on how he entered these fights, how he played around the shadows, how he even, sometimes if it was like, I'm not even going to get a kill with my shadow kill, but I want to go ahead and pressure them enough to get a battle spell out, maybe the revitalize, maybe the flickers, and that was capitalized on later on for the rest of TNC.
Yeah, and actually revisiting the numbers for Zaida, if he can, he'd rather end up with a Hayabusa in his hands than the Lancelot. So now I understand why they picked it. And I think one of the nice snapshots for Zaida as a Hayabusa in this game was when he just threw that shadow kill in the center of the map. And this one, he was just like, brought Nausea solo. Actually, no, it wasn't this one. It was another play. But yeah, he just showed up in the center, saw Nausea, popped a shadow kill, combo on him, and then brought Nausea down to like, what, 40, 45% of his health?
Yeah.
And then just backed off. It goes to show how confident he is on this hero, and he knows the timings very well that, hey, I might not get the kill, but I might force something out of here. Bring someone down low. It's like, all right, I lost my ultimate, but it delays the movement of Twisted Minds.
And a little bit of food for thought. I'd like for the armchair analysts to break it down and maybe share their thoughts in our groups. When Zaida chased Sean, was Sean wasting TNC's time? Or was Zaida denying Sean the opportunity to clear waves and buy more time for his team? Because it might have worked both ways.
Yeah. You talking about the whole trip around the map?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been better for Sean to, again, I have no idea what the status of the map was at the time, but just watch this moment. Like, let me take a break. All right, cool. It's over. Wouldn't it have been better if Sean actually focused on more productive things than running around the map?
Maybe, you know,
right?
Well, at that point, he was already being, he was getting chased for a long time. So he was running because he was locked in by Chaknu, Zaida, and one more. At the end, it was only the Jawhead that could catch up. So I think in that specific scenario, TNC did not give Sean a choice. They told Sean, yeah, try not to die here, bro. We're going to chase you.
Yep, and it was Zaida who was last playing tag with him.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Well, Zaida showed up from, he went to meet him, and then Sean juked him out.
Yeah.
Ah, you're right. Yeah.
So that took a lot of effort. That wasted the Kagura's whole kit.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because, again, when you look at this, what I was trying to go ahead and put into words earlier on was, this is one of those situations where you're seeing now, we've talked about this for a couple weeks, it's like the XP laner, it becomes like basically the roam. Like 3mar was that guy on this Alice. A lot of the times that happens, but this also allowed Chaknu to just go for the pickoffs. Like you have to have someone like an Alice that will activate your Jawhead. That is very pickoff centric. I think you would need the same thing if it was a Kaja, for example, which we've seen pop up a couple times now. And Alice did that. 3mar tanked up, I think, just as much, if not almost as much as damage as Kaloi.
Yeah. I like that 3mar eventually built that Winter Crown. I know that used to be like the old rush for Alice. Like it was like one of the first 3 or maybe even first 2 items. But then considering that you'd want to build a lot more utility defense for this Alice because your main kit revolves around just literally standing there, surviving as long as you can and making the most out of your Throne of Ruin. And I think 3mar did make the most out of the Throne of Ruin in the times that he used it. So it's undeniable. Alice is here to stay and Alice has a place in the metagame. She's going to be showing up way more now.
Yep. I think, if I'm not mistaken, second, I could have sworn maybe 3mar was a sandbag, but no. 3mar's only second to the amount of damage taken. Kaloi will be our sandbag here, but he died almost 10 times this game.
Yeah, I was going to say he died a lot, and it was interesting because sometimes Chaknu was like, yeah, I'll just throw Kaloi. Like, I'll eject their Kaloi, and like, they had enough damage to even deal with that if it happened to be so. So, you know, Kaloi, like, his main job was if he didn't have the Revitalize, which most of the time was popped because of the Shadow Kill, then he was like just laying down the pathway, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna fly. Like, I'm gonna be tossed over, and that's what happened to Kaloi there.
Yeah, he was just there, dude. And it's tough. It's a tough game for a high loss, but you saw why they picked the high loss. The interplay with the glorious pathway. But at the end of it all, I'd like to see Twisted Minds put something more proactive onto Kaloy, something that can be more than just a sandbag, a heal guy. I put down my ultimate and that's it. The best Kaloy games are when he's active, when he's trying to get pickoffs, when you can really feel his presence in the map, not just in very specific scenarios. Our BBI Rich Guy will be Benny Cutie, and despite the portion of the game where I felt like TNC could have been rotating to his lane more, I think the initial pickoff onto Nausea was more than enough to really get Benny Cutie going. And then the fact that at one point, Twisted Minds committed Nausea into, I think it was either Turtle 3 or Lord 1, while Benny Cutie was still farming up. He knew his mission, he knew his goal. Just get items for myself, and I'm glad that Benny Cutie stuck with that.
I'd like to tip my hat over to the...
Man, and it's so weird because yesterday the biggest priority on blue side was what? The Wanwan, I think it was? Like yesterday's matches, I remember multiple times it was picked up first pick. And that was one of the few times, too, I feel like where Wanwan, in the hands of Benny Cutie, won. Like, it struggled, though, technically.
I'm thinking now, though, it's like, how do we get to the point, like, people decided, you know what? Gold Lane Fighters, Alice EXP. But we should also give the Wanwan more. It's like, wait, I don't like that second part of, the train of thought. There's a reason why Wanwan is, like, the most banned hero this entire season. Why are people giving it up? Why are people willing to play into it?
And I think that's why TNC chose blue. They don't want to give it up. They'll go for it. First pick. And they have a better win rate on this next map. Broken walls for game 2. Twisted Minds yet to win.
I feel like, I don't know if there's a total count of all the maps that we've played on, but like, is Broken Walls like the least played? Like, it has to be one of the least.
Bottom half.
Definitely so. And I feel like there's a big discussion going around about like how much does Broken Walls really change the map? You know, I mean, yes, there's obviously the change that there's literally broken walls, but it's like how much of an effect does it have on the overall game in comparison to something, for example, like the Flying Cons or like the Dangerous Grass?
Yeah, well, one of the things about Broken Walls is now that no team needs to commit a batter and a Fanny.
Yeah.
Because if you're willing to play Fanny in Broken Walls, you're very brave. Not to say that it's impossible, but then your muscle memory of where you can
spending years.
Yeah, might get thrown off. It's like, wait, how come it didn't? Yeah, because there's no wall there, bro. And
you're kind of nerfed.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the biggest differences one of the biggest changes that Broken Walls brought,
they banned a Fanny.
Why? Okay, you know what? It's Zyda. Sure, it's Zyda. They're respecting Zyda. He has a positive win rate on the Fanny this season. But then, with the Broken Walls, you can play a little bit more tanky fighter junglers. You commit less dashes, and you play that extra element of a Lord dance and turtle dance from multiple angles, either in the front of the pit or behind the pit. So I like that TNC decided to pick up the Juicin in this regard. With the high possibility of tanky fighter junglers for both sides, Juicin thrives in that environment.
Easier to keep tabs on people to slam up too. And Twisted Minds answers back with a Hayabusa, possibly a steal, but Lancelot is still out there. Of course, a Grok. Grok is very strong in Broken Walls.
And that's exactly what Renmar was talking about. You know, like he wants to see Kaloy on something different than that Hylos, and he gets this. This is one of the best picks you can have. Because, yeah, like Grok also, he'll fix some of those broken walls. Like, he can actually change. So it's like, all right, you have this map. Some of the debate is how much does it change the course of the game? So you bring in a hero that can actually change some of that because you're on this specific map too. You know, you can cut off some of those openings or force situations around these side of the jungle. So here we go. TNC will pick up the Arlot and the YSS. By the way, Arlot was like perma-banned yesterday.
Yeah, best picks in the slot, especially with 3mar playing this Arlot, one of his best heroes this season, and you always feel his impact. And the fact that it's broken walls means he can rotate around the map a little bit quicker, while the YSS is just perfect in this scenario.
Yep, this is Zyda's 14th time playing the Yi Sin Shin. Given it's less than ideal, he's won 6 out of the 13 times he's played it so far. This will be the 14th. Twisted Minds answers with an Alice of their own. It's their turn.
Okay. I wonder if they'll still go for a bursty type of gold laner. Oh, wait, if they take out the even, it's like telling Nausea, bro, you can definitely play the Harith if you want to.
Oh, wow. This banning phase is going so much faster.
Yeah. They know what they want to do here.
Okay, Farsa's still open for Sean, but then that is one of the picks that they don't usually pick
Hey,
up.
this young man was here last week.
Those kids?
That exact kiddo.
Ah.
Oh yeah, he was like, making a lot of faces there.
Yeah, he showed us a picture of him making the face.
Yeah.
All right, one more ban for TNC before we swing back to Red 4. Twisted Minds. There's the Farsa.
Still the mids.
So
Yeah,
are
still
they
worth it.
just pigeonholing Sean to play the Kag?
I hope they don't go Kagura. At this point, I hope they pick up something like a Novaria, actually, for Sean, I would like.
Yeah.
It supplements your Grok. It supplements the Granger. It's even good for the Alice. All that vision also provided for the Hayabusa. So the Alice and Grok don't need to go too far. They can just throw out an Astral Echo. And I think the Novaria rounds out their draft very well. Unless they're considering something that I don't want to see, which is an Angela.
Angela mid.
Don't give that to Sean, please. No. You want Sean to kill.
You want to let Sean tap into what he's been able to do.
Mechaniques.
Yeah, let him help carry the
Hey,
game.
to be fair, we did see an Angela do crazy amounts of damage.
Super
I remember,
Prince.
we were talking about this, and it was like,
Sure.
I think it was Midnight that was losing his mind to how much damage Super Princess Angela was doing.
And you know how I feel? Whoa, okay, I like this, Nathan. Stronger magic damage sources, so they fix their damage profile with the Nathan pick. And it is undefeated this season because it will hit that point of wait. Why can't we end this fight fast enough? Why is the Nathan just shredding through us? So now I feel like still go for the Novaria here. No, don't.
That was the Kagura.
I think at some point it just comes down to comfort. And you can't deny Sean's prowess. Sean's adept with the Kagura. He knows what he's doing. It's just
Mechaniques.
doesn't bring enough to the table. Doesn't bring what Twisted Minds needs.
I think part of it too is like they have so many heroes that are kind of hard to catch, but also have a lot of like mobility in their own kits.
Yeah.
And that might be useful going against what TNC decided to draft in this one. So, you know, maybe Twisted Minds is also relying on that. The whole fact that they can kind of get out of fights if they really need to.
Yeah, a lot of the lineup of TNC Pro Team, they want a strong formation, while Twisted Minds have a very strong lineup for breaking all those formations that TNC want to build up. That if TNC aren't careful, they're just going to get shredded down by this Grok, by the Alice, and, well, by the Kagura.
Twisted Minds are holding on for dear life. They lose this game. They lose the series. Their fate is out of their hands for hopes of making it into the playoffs. Game 2 with TNC.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
Okay, we get the freeze by the Grok. Typical start. And yeah, this might be one of those games determined by which EXP laner is more active and the objective team fights. Unless Kaloy, of course, can show up with some surprising tech charges that will catch TNC off guard before the objectives begin.
Okay. Looking at this too, I think this is going to be more crucial on how Twisted plays. Whoa, Benny Cutie already burning? Whoa,
Benny!
Oh,
Damn,
already
Nausea.
burning that too.
Yeah, starting it off hot as a Granger.
He's
Being
angry.
aggro. Yeah, he is angry. Okay, that's a good start. That's how you want to start off this game if you're this Granger, because the two times we've seen Nathan played this season always ended up the same way. If you cannot stop his farm or delay him, he will hit that point of, there's nothing you can do to stop me before I kill you.
Yeah.
Hey, I did not expect Kaloy to debut with this. I could have sworn he had like at least 1 or 2 games. 3 more trying to take down Lansu.
That was, I'm surprised, you know, but good usage of the flicker there too for Lansu to survive that.
3 more showing off why he's so adept and one of the iconic Arlot players in this game. Yeah, the ongoing theory is that, of course, Alice is one of the most difficult to... Yeah, she has a very strong level 2, and Arlot's one of the heroes that suffer against that. But 3 Mar says, nah, I can make it work. And he's beating Lansu in lane so far.
Oh, the pressure here.
I thought he would commit the shadow kill.
I did too. I thought I was ready to see MP the King do that, but decided not to. Instead, I guess just go ahead and play a little discipline here.
To be fair, I think he was just trying to force out the flicker without using his ultimate. Because if ever he did throw out the shadow kill, then Lancey could just use the flicker in a certain direction to cancel out the shadow kill of the Hayabusa.
Oh, bottom side still going to be going. Lansu will tank up quite a bit of damage. Going to use the final slash though. Lansu's gone. Not sure what happened there. 3 Mar gets the first blood. They're going to be looking for Kaloy. He's going to get dragged back by the Lantern. 2 kills now on the board for TNC.
That's all TNC. Nothing on the board for Twisted. Sean gets flushed out. TNC goes straight for the turtle.
Is it just weird? Does it feel like Lancer overestimated underestimated his capabilities as a non-level 4 Alice.
He's probably like, I've seen this before, but why am I not surviving longer here?
I'm not erased, damn it!
He's not even level 4 yet. There's now a 2-level gap between him and 3mar. He's gonna hit level 4 now, but that was not the right play and right time, Lansu.
Yep, the damage has been done. So consider that lane won, and now all TNC has to do is take care of gold, because again, that is maybe one spot that Twisted Minds kind of technically won. It's a TKO for Nosha.
Yeah, Nosha's winning the lane.
Whoa! 3mar is going to feel the set this time. Lansu making it work. Shadow Kill going to be used too. They're going to respect Sean's damage with the umbrella here. But hey, what a tech charge from Kaloy.
Yeah, one of the conditions for Kaloy to commit plays like that outside of the objectives, and one of the conditions we laid down for Twisted Minds. Nosha has straight up beat Benny Cutie in lane. He only just hit level 4 because the siege minion or the gold card that Benny Cutie could have hit level 4 and a good gold spike with was freezed out by Nosha under his own tower. So it doesn't just goes to show that Granger's the one setting the tempo, which is why Chaknu is now trying to help out Benny Cutie here.
Oh man, the Mamba has to babysit Benny.
Wow.
Oh, he's trading!
Benny's going to want to actually trade with him, but again, he's just a bit behind, and he doesn't have enough damage on this Nathan yet. Look at the rest of the team, Twisted. They should be able to capitalize something on this, but Benny and Cutie and Chaknu feel it, so they'll back off. Twisted won't be able to go in any further.
That must be frustrating. Nosha was bullying not just Benny, but Benny and Chak.
Oh yeah, look at the lead he has.
Yeah, already got to rush the Hunter Strike. No wonder why that Grog, or excuse me, that High Loss felt like paper in front of that Granger. Ooh, they really need to balance out their gold lane here, because the efforts of TNC so far are getting cancelled out by the fact that Benny Cutie is losing lane and that Nosha is starting to go crazy with this farm and the damage. I wouldn't be surprised if they just decide to send Granger to the second turtle they can and then get some Sky Piercer stacks on him if he has it. No, he did. He rushed Hunter Strike, so he can't build Sky Piercer just yet.
And that's what's scary. Nosha hasn't even started double lane. Here's going to make his way down. A little bit of breathing room for Benny Cutie. Twisted Mind starting the turtle, pulling it slightly over to their side. Chaknu engaging on Kaloy. You can see that Nosha's firepower hitting here hard.
Lansu jumping in with into the tech charge too. Chaknu just disappears. A good combination of the crowd control that Twisted has. Benny staying top side. This is a numbers advantage for Twisted, and it should just be a turtle in their favor after that setup.
Yeah, that was a perfect Throne of Ruin by Lansu, and follow up with the tech charge by Kaloy. And add to that, he even got to put up a rampart to make sure that Zyda wouldn't be able to help deal a little bit more damage that could have turned it around for TNC. Another wall.
That wall, man. That one's not broken.
Yeah, again, this is exactly why we wanted to see Kaloy in something more proactive, something that you can feel his impact right away, not just a sponge like a High Loss. And he's been great on this Grok so far.
You could do that combo either way. Charge into the throne or throne into the charge. That alone is a game-winning combo for Twisted Minds, and they can ride this to a strong lead. Already 1,000 up. The map is equalized. Top lane goes over TNC. Bottom lane to Twisted Minds. And how did this happen? How did 3mar find all this farm? He's still over on Lansu.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think that's still the effects of his early game lead that we're seeing, which is why he has a slight lead.
What does TNC want to do here? 3mar going to jump in. He doesn't have a flicker. Goes with the final slash anyway for Sean. Glorious pathway to cut him off. Kaloy, though, perfect positioning to knock up multiple members. Now with the Mountain Shocker, they take out Nosha. So still looking for more. They're quite low. MP joining the fight. He's going to be able to jump in. Benny Cutie and Zyda still alive. MP holding on to the shadow kill. He won't pop it. So they go for an exchange, and Twisted will win that one. Benny? Yeah, he's not going to catch Sean there.
So often it happens that it's Benny and Zyda left.
Yeah. Bit of a desperate play there by TNC. I mean, we know that they were trying to find a bit of a clapback somewhere. But I feel like that was way too expensive. They all just stood together and didn't respect that the Grok could just mess him up. Again, another great Earthen Rampart and tech charge coming out of Kaloy.
Quick reflexes from Twisted Minds, helping them keep this close to 2,000 gold lead. They're keeping it tight. Turtle spawning in the lower quarter. Final turtle. And it's TNC first to the scene. But it's not going to be as free as we think it is, because Kaloy already has eyes on him. Mountain Shocker. Zyda hitting the turtle from the opposite broken wall. Twisted Minds are ready to respond.
Yeah, they got the space to work with. There it is again. The jumping from Lansu will find 3mar. He is out. Even Chaknu before he can final slash. Chaknu's going to be next. Double kill for Sean. The rest of TNC has to back off. Benny just trying to push in that mid lane. That's going to be a fought turtle once again going in the hands of Twisted.
Charge up Throne of Ruin, throw out the Crimson Gleam, jump in, flicker forward to close the gap. Another perfect combo by the Alice of Lansu.
Is it just me, or did it seem like TNT had no plan post-engage? They don't seem to have a response to the Throne tech charge combo.
Yeah, all of the crowd control, the combo, TNC can just stand and watch. And again, it's the difference. You have a much more proactive roamer on one side and a high loss on the other, and just like the high loss, you can stand and watch, try to do something, but it's not going to be enough with all the buttons and all the value getting thrown out by all the crowd control that Twisted Minds has.
And it just feels like, you know, what we saw in game one where the high-lows for Twisted Minds, for Kaloi was being thrown in the air, and it's the same thing for Chaknu when he gets tech charged.
Yeah. Hylos is not that valuable in situations like this. We haven't really seen Chaknu change the game. He's always been reactive when he drops the Glorious Pathway in this 9-minute bout.
Yeah, because of the strong setup combo that Twisted Minds has, it's been easy for Sean to thrive. 5-0 on N2 on this Kagura. Glowing Wand and a Genius Wand as well. Sky Piercer for Nausea already built earlier. On the way to his third item. TNC, they really just need to play around Benny Cutie at this point.
Yep.
And try to keep the farm close for Zyda because that's your secondary carry. 3 more Chaknu and Lancy, they're just all utility for the main course. Good use of the wall there by Kaloi to make sure that Twisted Minds will still have control in the upper quadrant of the map so they can freely push the turret. And that's another one down.
Wow. The simple solution of how do you stop your opponent from defending that turret? You keep him away from the turret. There's nothing TNT could have done.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they have to do, though. Just buy enough time to allow Benny Cutie to get to that point where the Nathan, you know, we're so used to seeing, well, we don't see him picked up often, but when he does and he gets the items that he needs, he's able to burst someone down. But I'm questioning if he's even going to be able to do that or get in that position to do it against Twisted, because if they actually go and try to contest this Lord, I think they lose that fight, and this is just looks like it's going to be a Lord in the hands of Twisted.
Yep, that's a painful pill to swallow. As a member of the Phoenix Army, they all had to agree there's no way we're going to contest that. The utility is just through the roof. Twisted Minds is just a stronger fighting unit at this point in the game. 10 minutes in, TNT going to hunker down to defend.
Yeah, Benny Cutie only has a Feather of Heaven and a concentrated energy at this point, and still that's not going to be enough. You're waiting for the third item on this Nathan at this point for him to really activate. Which is why they're just trying to make sure the Benny Cutie can get as much farm as possible. While the secondary main damage dealer for TNC Pro Team, Zyda, doesn't have the Endless Battle just yet. Still only up to 100 Strike and War Axe. With the lead that Twisted Minds has, not enough. Lansu might just throw his body here, Throne of Ruin to force a Game 3 to try and end it right here, right now, so that Benny Cutie cannot get to the point where he can turn it around for TNC.
You know what, in relative context, Zyda hasn't been struggling as much as I thought he was. He's just down like 200, 300 gold.
Yeah.
Could have sworn it was worse.
They really just lost the rest of the map. Them losing the gold lane, I think, hurt TNC more than they realize.
Yeah, especially with this Nathan pick. Whoa, they're going to be able to catch MP, though. MP will get away with the shadows. So they keep him alive. Good thing for them, but the Holy Shields will keep TNC into this game so far. They're going to pop the conceal. What is Chaknu going to do here? He knows MP's grabbing the purple buff, throwing a ruin again in the backside, and Zyda's gone! And now Benny Cutie working with the space that he has. Shadow Kill is going to be used. 3 more tanks up, all of it. He's down now. Lansil. Finally, Benny Cutie will be able to pick up a kill. They still hold on to their base turret because the wave isn't pushing in yet.
A 3-for-1. That's miserable. 6,000 gold.
Yep. Minion waves up top and end in mid. Twisted Minds still might be endable, but Lancy and Zyda not too far off.
Far off here. Top base turret goes down. MP takes a shot. They're going to work on this mid turret. Sean flickers forward. They're going to go for Benny. Benny can't get away. A good combo there. And now Chaknu on the run with the Glorious Pathway. But it looks like TNC will stay in this game for now.
Oh, despite the really good start by TNC, again, them losing gold lane really hurt their rotations and their chances to end it at game number 2. No Holy Crystal just yet for this Nathan, and just as we expected before the initial entry of Lansu, he's at this point where he can just throw himself in front and throw a Throne of Ruin, and that throws off TNC Pro Team's capability to team fight and defend.
30 seconds until the Lord spawns. TNC have so many things to think about, more than just contesting. They have to consider where they're going to get the farm to finish Benny Cutie's kit. How will they take advantage of Trimar and Lancey's crowd control synergies? And where does Chaknu find a good way in? Because so far, he's only really been there to welcome Kaloy's entry. Other than that, the Hylos can't even man mark. He can't even find MP the King.
Yeah, at this point, the Glorious Pathway is like a welcome mat.
Yeah. It's the red carpet to come fight us, basically.
Yeah, even though Twisted Minds get slowed under it, it's like, oh, right, sure, thanks for the regal entrance and welcome.
But that's what I'm saying, too. Their heroes allow them to even technically kind of ignore the Glorious Pathway in a way. Like, they can get enough space that they need to.
Yeah.
Even with the flickers that they have here for the battle spells.
If anything, it's Nosha who only really has the walk.
Yeah.
Everyone else has another way in and through TNC. Lord number 2 goes over to Twisted Minds, 13 and a half minutes in. Gold lead going up to almost 9,000. What does TNC do? Because even on a wave clearing front, they're kind of lackluster. It's Benny Cutie really who only can do this quick enough.
Yeah, it's all counterplay at this point. It's all error punish. But with the massive lead that Twisted Minds has, even if TNC gets a wipeout, I don't think they'll be able to secure a one-way end. I don't even think Twisted Minds will allow that wipeout to happen. There will at least be one guy open. But with all of the minion waves crashing in, not enough turrets on the side of TNC to take down yet. They can't one-way. They have to do this multiple times.
That's unfortunate. Again, Chaknu half health before this defense. Final slash going to be used already. Lancer will drop the Throne of Ruin. They crash in with a tech charge, forcing the pressure, and that's it. They're just wiped out here. It's only Benny Cutie left against the full force of Twisted Minds, and we're going to Game 3 like we did in the first half of the season.
That was way too quick. Twisted Minds stop TNC's momentum. Not so fast. We're going all the way.
I just gotta say, that game looks so easy for Kaloy. Kaloy on this Grok. Sort of the main reasons why they were able to just start banking lead after lead, kill after kill, to force this game number 3. And again, unfortunate. Main story here is TNC got some early pickoffs, got some early leads, but the fact that they were losing gold lane and how that messed up their overall rotation meant that Twisted Minds just capitalized through very strong crowd control and frontline synergies.
Not to mention the comps, the drafts that they ended up with. Kaloy on that Grok was just too much of crowd control and a front line that TNC could not answer back.
Yeah, this is why the Grok works so well. So many teams, so many compositions, and a lot of the times it's banned because, I mean, that tech charge alone, the combination even that you can do with it, with the swing, the tech charge, the rampart, everything else, it just works for so many different compositions that we see. And this one, when you also have an Atlas to help you up, because, you know, we saw it there multiple times as we look at the MVP highlights too. Like, they could lead with the Throne of Ruin from Lancer, they could lead with the tech charge, you know, and there were so many options for them to collapse down on TNC's lineup. And that's what they capitalize on, because even this, like, early game where TNC had that little bit of a good start for them, it was stopped right here.
Yeah, it was this play specifically that turned it around. 3-minute mark.
Here.
It was Throne of Ruin and the tech charge, and another big one as well. Those are the 2 biggest wins of Twisted Minds early on that allowed them to just take control and meant that TNC Pro Team would be playing from behind for majority of the game.
Yep.
Another one.
Ever since that sequence in mid, and then slowly to the top, and then now in the last turtle, TNC was just left in shambles. It's like they had no real answer.
And again, they only got to that point because Benny Cutie lost gold lane, straight up. Losing lane in MPL Philippines changes the overall rotation of your mid-trio so much that it did just get to that point, that the stars aligned for Twisted Minds.
Yeah.
But other than it being somewhat like destined for them to end up in that scenario, they took it. They took the chance. They made the play, and they made it work.
You know what's dangerous? The fact that Twisted Minds draft was not fixated on a singular hero. Maybe the Grok. Maybe if you took out the Grok, that would have changed things. But that aside, all these heroes are role players.
Yeah.
Even the Alice, you can't pin down and say, yo, it was the Alice. It was a synchronized effort.
Yeah, it definitely was. I just think the Grok was like it was like the cherry on top, basically, because you just had that tech charge that we saw.
And the delicious crust.
Yes.
And the icing.
Stuffed crust.
It was It was a lot. I'll tell you, maybe 60% of why Twisted Minds won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we said earlier at the end of the draft that the TNC lineup wants to play a very solid unit together around that Nathan, around the setups of 3-Mar, around the Juicin, the Glorious Pathway, all of that. You think of TNC as a very solid, like Ube style unit. While Twisted Minds, they can come in to the sequence at multiple times through multiple angles that can break the formation of TNC. And again, just the tech charge into what TNC brings is more than enough already. It's just up to the rest of Twisted Minds to make sure that they capitalize. Again, Lanzu was fantastic on the Salas. I appreciated his time, except for the very first play. The very first kill onto him should not have happened. But then I think he realized, oh wait, yeah, I'm not level 4, I just don't have my items. Once he had his items in level 4, then he kept doing that. It's like, whoa, TNC couldn't kill him anymore.
Yeah, it's weird because like I feel like even with the Arlot, man, in the hands of 3-Mar, he wasn't able to do anything with the hero. You know, I mean, like even if he final slash someone, if you did final slash someone, it would most likely be Lanzu, who can then just gleam on out. Or let's just say it's Sean. Let's just say it's even MP the King on the Hayabusa. They can get out of that setup. And so I just feel like TNC's lineup, yes, it was very like, let's play together here. But one, it takes Nathan a while to build up anyway. But then when you lose lane, that puts you even further back. So I just feel like Twisted Minds really quickly adjusted. They punished the fact that TNC lost a key component of making the lineup work in the gold lane, and then they just followed through from there.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things as well is that there was no other option for Chapno at that point. They couldn't have gone something like Mathilda. They really needed the presence like the high loss. But the best pick was actually banned by Twisted Minds. They banned the Gata Gacha.
Yep.
So the fact that Hylos ended up with Chapno was like, I have no other choice, coach. I'm stuck with this horse, man.
Yep. The Hylos became the Gatot at home. And Twisted Minds, Coach Bon, Coach Eson, they knew exactly what they were doing. RBB Rich Guy here is MP the King on the Hayabusa. I'm pretty sure he recalls back to game 1 on that Yisun Shin, feeling very, very miserable. So, is this the fall of Yisun Shin? Are we seeing a very drastic fall?
I think so. I think there's a bit of a fall.
Yeah, a bit. He still can definitely work, but I think you really just have to build up for him better.
All right. We'll talk more about these drafts in just a bit, but first we'd like to remind you guys that you can celebrate Onyx victory in M6. The Joy Onyx PH Pass has been available since September 20. The starter pass includes the M6 Championship skin, Joy Onyx PH, and more exclusive in-game items. Join Joy Onyx PH on your very own road to champion.
I got mine. I know you guys got yours. And don't forget, you can gift it to your favorite friends out there, too.
Favorite Joy users.
Favorite Joy user.
Or King Kong fans.
Or King Kong fans. I think Joy's really hard to play, man. Like, I feel like you might as well, if you can't play Joy, you might as well learn Beatrix, because Beatrix also has a skin. The Finals MVP skin, the Skyforce Maverick, will also be available. It has been available since September 20th. There was a 30% discount. Hopefully you guys got that. That was during the first week. The M6 Finals MVP, Kelra, he added a personal touch by including his son's name, Slake, printed on the outfit, so get ready to fight alongside Beatrix. The Skyforce Maverick, and claim your own MVP. So I hope you grab that too.
Yeah, and it's the first time a skin in Mlbb actually says the name of a pro player in the voice line. The only time, Captain Kelra.
You know what? It even says the names or the monikers of the other team members.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Beast is mentioned, Kirkitek is mentioned, the Bruiser. Folks, here's a quick look at the stats from Season 16
That's
backwards. So all seasons so far. Look at how big those numbers are. We're celebrating MLBB's 9th birthday.
Ooh.
How's about we look at the pro scene stats?
Ooh.
Look at the damage dealt, man. That's some big damn right there.
That's a no, not a billion. Million.
That's almost a billion.
What is 650 hours?
649 hours is about how much time I have on my favorite MMO character.
Hey, wait, next season is when we'll get our 1,000th MPL PH match.
That's right.
Yeah.
1,000 MPL PH matches in Season 17.
Yeah.
Somewhere inside. Amazing. Folks, the total game time played in MLBB in-app in MPL Philippines is about 27 days straight.
Almost a month.
I divided it. Almost whole of February.
Yeah. Yeah, technically. Is it a leap year this year? Wait, is that next year? I
I'm
don't know.
sorry.
I'm not good at
I don't have my calendar.
astronomy.
I
Yeah.
don't believe in that kind of thing.
I don't believe in leap years.
Don't believe in the moon?
Oh man,
That's a whole lot of damage taken, by the way. That's 100,000 minutes. That's a billion.
This is the beauty of esports. You're able to track all of these things by digging deep into the code.
And there's people out there that really love these numbers.
They like.
They
Yeah.
like.
I like it.
As I look at the guy about the numbers. I guess you're both about the numbers.
Yes.
I listen to your guys' points about the numbers, and I just go, yeah.
Hey, without numbers, this game would not make sense.
Without numbers, we would not be living life.
We're all just a bunch of zeros and ones anyways.
That's
Yeah.
true.
No, what? Wait, are we? Are we in a simulation?
Haven't you
The
seen
only-
what's been going on?
The only numbers that matter to me the most are the numbers in my bank account. So join Vibe by BPI.
25 by VPI.
Hey, don't count the breaths you take, but count the moments that take your breath. No.
It's something like that. The moments that
Something
take your
like
breath away.
Yeah. Also, you cannot count the dandruff on my scalp because I use clear.
I'm pretty sure no one counts that rough on scalp.
To be fair, if you were able to count the dandruff on your scalp,
You have a problem.
you have a problem.
You gotta get that checked.
Yeah.
It's called psoriasis and it's not fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's about a minute until Game 3 starts. Could have sworn TNC, given their momentum in Game 1, was going to take this 2-0, but I think Twisted Minds have figured out, even from Red side, how to step on the toes and press the right buttons to make TNC kind of doubt themselves even in the draft. I'll tell you now, I think that the draft alone was a struggle.
Yeah, because in the draft, they went to different ideas. TNC Pro Team looked at priorities for Benecuti and Chaknu, while Twisted Minds, they looked at the setup and the utility factor so that Nausea and Sean will have an easier life. It's like they were already thinking, let's just build our front line, let's get our core, but then we'll pick our mid laner and gold laner in the second phase, while TNC Pro Team got their roam and their gold laner in the second phase. So it's different schools of thought. If TNC can manipulate in the draft in such a way that Chaknu doesn't end up with a high loss, and same goes for Twisted Minds, I think these two really need to take high loss as one of the options out and look at pick-off, look at burst, and look at heroes like that, Gatot Kacha and the Grok.
It's funny because when you said that about Kaloy after game 1, like he needs to play someone in the roam that allows him to play that kind of more aggressive pick-off style or at least set things up. I feel like anytime Chaknu gets a hero that isn't that, that's what like a lot of people say about the Mamba. You know, like even for a lot of people, it's like, man, look what he can do. I mean, he's done it on heroes like the Hylos, for example, in previous seasons and everything like that. But there's something different when even Chaknu can set things up for the team or buy that amount of space. Because, again, Hylos can really just do a certain amount of things within a certain realm of possibility, especially when there's a Grok across from him.
Yeah.
So I hope that's what kind of changes when we get to the draft here.
Yeah, and the realm of possibility for high loss is literally a straight line.
Yes.
That's it. That's his realm.
And a singular stun.
And what messes that up
Done.
is a wall appearing out of nowhere. Because
Yeah.
what is he going to do?
Yeah, it blocks off your path, and the fact that there are other huge gap-closing abilities on the other side, it wasn't a fun game for a high loss. So, hell, we even saw Chaknu pull it off with a Jawhead. The lineup of TNC in game number 1 was greedy, but they made it work because that's what the meta demands.
That's what Alice
from
demands.
Roamers. That's what Alice demands as well. Proactivity.
Now Hylos is just a little too conservative
Yeah.
Yeah.
for our taste.
Yes.
And for this matchup. Here we go. Game number 3. One more chance for these two teams to cross the threshold of qualifying for the playoffs, at least make that decision, that calculation a little more sound. We're going into dangerous grass. Twisted Minds a little better on the win rate when it comes to dangerous grass, while TNC are winning 1 in 4.
That's great. We get 3 different maps for 3 games. You know, that's good.
I'm just counting the numbers here. Oh, wait, no, they've won more.
Should they ban the Alice?
Or the Grok maybe even.
Or the Grok, yeah.
Yeah.
Red 3 ban, do it.
Red 3 ban Grok.
TNC knows. They can pick up Grok Red 1 too. I'm okay with them picking up Grok Red 1 too. That's what Twisted Minds did as well. They can pick it up early.
So are they opening the Yusing Shin on purpose?
Yeah. I think they can open up one of those options.
Oh, this is what I was wondering if they would ban it out.
Yeah.
Okay. What a turn.
I think warranted after the 2 games that we saw from the Alice so far. And of course, the Alice games we saw yesterday as well.
I would not even blink if this was a turn 1 Grok.
It is!
Oh!
Is he that priority now?
Yes!
Oh, man.
Yes.
Roamers rejoice.
I like it. I appreciate it, Twisted Minds. Yeah, they just decided to rush it because, again, they already knew that TNC can pick it up. Probably that was the call for Twisted Minds. Like, all right, then why don't we pick it up? It's fine. It applies some pressure. At this point, that means that TNC is forced to pick up the roamer early on, or in the first phase. They cannot go to the second phase without the roamer. They have to consider picking up the Gacha as the third pick
they have to.
on the red side.
Because otherwise it's going to be narrowed down further. And honestly, Twisted, if it's because the Alice is gone, they could literally take a Mlbb, they could take a Uranus to work with this Grok. Either way, Arlot's going to go in the hands of 3-Mar again.
TNC drafting very similar to how they did in game 2.
Yep.
But I think they learned their lesson.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Was the Alice the lesson?
1 Alice, 2 Chaknu's hero pick, and 3 maybe time to take off for Benny.
Yeah, I'll be a bit surprised here if TNC doesn't go into the second phase with their Chaknu pick already locked in. However, because they got the Arlot and the Juice in, that means they now have to really consider getting either their jungle or their gold first. I think they can save the gold pick for the second half. If they really don't pick their roamer now, then they can pick their jungle instead. But again, they might just be stuck with a high loss again, which would not be fun for TNC.
So what does Zyda play? Does he just go with the, I mean, Lancelot and YSS being open?
Do you think Twisted Minds would do blue 4 and 5 ban YSS Lance?
Oh, he went Frederick, he went utility.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. We're not going to have to ask that anymore. Wow.
The Fred Arlot.
That's a very good start, though. Red, 1, 2, and 3. This is literally the Liquid Stampede. A lot of points Liquid scored because of these 3 heroes.
Yeah, that is up there in the priorities of Liquid. So, their gold laner needs to be something with a consistent stream of damage. Take on Eve. I wouldn't want to see Benikudi end up with a Moskov here, but that might just be the pick that they'll lock into later for the gold lane.
Or a Harith.
They can afford to go Mathilda Bruno as the last 2 picks.
Or Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno would be great. The Mathilda, since they're playing around the Ferdinand Arlot, that's great interplay as well. So let's see if Twisted Minds will read into it. If they don't go for the Mathilda Bruno, they can still pick up the Grok, put the Revitalize on that.
Wait, pick up the Revitalize
not
the Grok?
Got the Gacha.
Oh, yeah, I was like, whoa.
They both start with G.
Yeah. Okay, it's probably gonna be open, right? Unless this is the last man.
Yeah. And then for Lansu, he's okay. Arlot Esme not that fun for the Esme, so they're gonna look at it from a team fighting perspective. So if you look at it from the big picture, Esmeralda will still be okay, and the Phoveus as well later on for Lansu. But if they show their gold laner already at 4, with the Gacha ban, okay. So they have to consider the utility roam alongside the Bruno and the fast scaling gold laner. The Harith is also still available for taking if they want to.
Would they just potentially go Jawhead again? Like, would you? Oh, he's gonna run the Nathan back.
Okay, with a Nathan, I don't want a Jawhead.
Yeah. So what do you? Is it Hylos again? Like, let's go again.
Go again.
Go again.
I'm still on the Matilda train.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The high loss, no. I think after what we've seen so far,
I'd rather peel backwards than just get peeled under 1 second and die.
Because also, if you have the Matilda, technically the Rampart comes up. You can just go through it.
You can get yeeted out.
Yeah.
Will they just go Kagura yet again for Sean? Phoveus Kag? Oh, Glue. Oh, even better. Oof. Oh, and now their damage profile might not be enough to mess with this Glue. Since they're banking on the Nathan to be the main source of damage.
Glue Farsa.
Yeah. Kagura again.
Yeah.
Oh, Twisted Minds. This might be the plot twist completed. I prefer their drafts already. I mean, that's how I always feel every time I see a Glue.
The Glue is kind of crazy lately. Like, I mean, think about this. Glue plus Grok. And then where's your damage mainly coming from? Like Benikudi? For the most part, for this lineup? I mean, that's unless he wins lane. And the way it went for Nasha versus Benikudi in the last one with the same heroes, it was not very good for Benikudi.
To be fair, the Hylos isn't a very good babysitting hero.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? Oh,
mid-game.
What?
A Rome Hellcurt.
A Rome Hellcurt.
That's got to be it. I don't think this is anything else.
Wait, is this going back to, remember how Chaknu was like, he'd like to play an assassin in Rome? I mean, he said Saber, right? But he gets the Hellcurt.
This is Saber with a hoodie on.
I like this better because Hellcurt doesn't need to reach level 4 to do the kill.
Yeah,
he can actually just jump dudes.
You remember what he said on stage?
Yeah, he said, let me reach level 4 and I'll kill the jungler.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
I have a feeling that Falcons saw that last pick and, yes, I said Falcons, saw that last pick and just went, we have to beat Liquid later, guys. We have to sweep this.
Oh my god. Despite, though, the from out of left field pick on the Hellcurt, the numbers still favor TNC.
Yeah.
The game's logic likes this Hellcurt roam.
The game likes.
Yeah, hey man, if the Mamba can show up out of nowhere with the Kufra, he might be able to do it with a Hellcurt. It's a Chaknu game. The focus is on Chaknu and how he will make this Hellcurt work. How they will maximize
Welcome to
the
Mobile
Dark
Legends.
Nightfalls around what will eventually be the Fredrin and Arlott being the main frontliners for TNC.
The rest of the franchise teams are watching. The world is watching. Can TNC close up the series? Or will Twisted Minds move on and keep their playoffs dream alive? Chaknu here, babysitting Benny. He doesn't want game 2 to happen again. Oh, mid though.
Oh man, mid. Lancey. Oh, the Rampart. He already has to burn the flicker too.
Yep.
So that's down. Here's the emblems though.
What Lancey experienced there is what I would call the RG start for every mid laner because the roamer decided to park in the first wave goal. I mean, you can't blame Chaknu for doing that because they want to build up that lead, and the main trade at level 1 is what messed up Benny QT earlier anyway.
Yeah.
So he just wanted to bridge for that.
All right. We got a quick pause here. Right before that, though, you saw the stats. It's not looking good for Zyda's Fredrin. I don't want to just brush it under the rug and say, oh, yeah, no, Fredrin on Zyda is normal. No, it's not. He hasn't won with this yet.
He hasn't won, but I remember there were times this season that, I think we discussed this, it felt like Zyda was playing Fredrin with back pain because he did everything he could. He did his job right. He was carrying the team. It's just the rest of the team couldn't do it.
Follow through with that.
Follow through with what Zyda on this Fredrin was doing.
Well, to be fair, there's only so much a Fred can do. Actually, you know what? There's more things a Fred can't do than it can. It's a utility jungler.
Yeah. I feel like in this case, again, like, it's nice to see Chaknu smiling here, that he gets his chance to go ahead and play this on, you know, I would say like a crucial game for them in game 3, but like, he might be able to help the Fredrin work here.
Joseph, I get it though. I get it.
What do you get?
TNC, we talked about this even before the match began. They are in a great spot as a team struggling to keep themselves in the playoffs compared to all the other teams that are still holding on. So they can afford to do this. Yeah, they got one more match tomorrow.
They got one more, man. If you're going to do it here. Right now, though.
MP.
Okay, MP. Fudimar is pretty... Yeah, he's not going to get away. MP gets first blood. Great setup there on that XP lane.
Yeah. I appreciate that 3mar didn't actually commit the flicker to try and get out. He just accepted his fate. Because even more so, you'd want that flicker available for you as you head into level 3 and level 4, because that's how they can find a counter. So no surprise that 3mar got taken out there. While Bendy Cutie, because of the start of Chaknu in the gold lane, is now a little bit more comfortable dueling it out with Nausea, getting the resources. He's not getting frozen out. They're still somewhat neck and neck. But he cannot get close to this Granger, which is why Nausea will get the gold crabs majority of the time.
Yeah, that's... I'm not sure. Even this, until you're level 4 here, I think it's going to be difficult to even find someone. The Stinger and not going the distance. Chaknu wanted, has to defensively flicker out too. Zyda might join this fight, but the rest of Twisted making the way quickly here. This is not looking for TNC. 3mar in trouble. They have everything they need. Sean will be able to pick up the kill. Shadow kill used as well. And that's 3 down for TNC. A double for MP, looking for more. Lancey tries to get away, pops the beacon, and there's the umbrella. But under the turret, they're all there. They'll get it anyway as Lansu falls. Big pickups left and right for Twisted.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
That is painful.
Yep.
And painful is an understatement.
Yeah. To make matters worse, Chaknu was waiting for the entry of MP the King, got the full stingers, damaged him, but still MP the King was able to shadow kill and hold on to the sliver of health he had.
Clearly there's not enough damage on Chaknu just yet. Folks, the roamers have gotten gold more in Project Next, yes, but not to the level a jungler could, or an actual core. So this is very different economy that TNC is walking into. They're down 3,000 gold.
We did see, you know, this Rome Hellcurt pop up yesterday. And even though they were behind, there was at one point in the game, once he picked up the items he need, even the Blade of Hepsi's, like, first item, yeah, he's able to go ahead and somewhat be a threat to some of the more squishier heroes here for Twisted. So maybe that's one of the plays that they can go for. But look at everything that happened in the last minute or so. Like, that's 3,000 gold lead that Twisted already has.
Yeah. At this point, it might be a Hell Curse. I feel like the times we've seen Hellcurt pop up in MPL Philippines, it's caused a reaction from me. I remember RSG Season 14, their Hellcurt Rome. The Hellcurt earlier this season for Neski, although that was actually a little bit okay, but it was too tough.
Yep.
But what are you going to do as a Hellcurt with a Glue in front of you, with a Grok in front of you? You take one out, they have a very tanky front line that can extend the sequence. That'll feel like you waste the Hellcurt.
I mean, at some point, your job might just be, oh, hold on. Ow. Lansu jumping in. Again, the tech charge. Lancey will have to pop the flicker. They're going to bring 3MAR back. Lansu sticking on to him, but now TNC, do they just disengage? Even Chaknu still in the mid lane. It looks like they're just going to have to get away from this. A shadow kill used on Zyda, dies under the turret. MP will pick up that one. Now 3MAR trying to get away, but the Rampart in the way. We're going to pop the regen, but have to burn his flicker too. There's just a whole lot being used from TNC.
All right, Benny here, making the most of the absence of Twisted Minds in his lane, while Chakna was, I could only theorize, protecting the river from the eventual rotation from Twisted Minds. Was that a worthy use of his time?
Well, TNC seems like they've doubled down on accepting the fact that they're playing for Benny already. Because with how Chaknu has been rotating and positioning himself in the map, clearly he just wants to help Benny Cutie. And TNC might have already voted on this idea that let's just play around the Nathan. He got messed up. Maybe we'll hit our power spike eventually. But what can the Nathan do if the Fredrin and the Arlott can't even hold the front line anymore?
Man, I'm not a fan of 10-pole strats.
Zyda.
Of course, MP takes it. Zyda falls once more.
Man, that's one thing Fred can't do. He can't deal with all that crowd control, man.
Not at this level.
Oh, hold on. Oh, there's the setup through. Looking for Chaknu. Pops the Dark Knight Falls, but doesn't have enough damage to take out Nasha. And now the rest of the team will have to deal with this. The crowd control's still going to be there. Chaknu left sitting all alone. He'll die and go down. It was unfortunate. That was the plan, and it failed.
TNC still have nothing on Twisted. In comes MP.
MP the King under the turret, popping the shadow kill, but it'll be divided between 3MAR and Lancey. They'll survive, but they're going to lose more space and resources in the jungle.
And there's a reason why we had a reaction to, oh no, 3MAR, no, okay.
He's just trying to clear those minions, but it might cost him his life. Lansu's probably going to bring him back, but 3MAR still up, gets the Vengeance out.
Okay.
And Lansu's actually the one that goes it down. A good play from 3MAR. I thought he was a goner.
Yeah, the last Vengeance he used to change where the glue would be coming from actually saved his life because it meant that he wouldn't get brought back to the slam glue that he already left on the floor. So mechanics by 3MAR, that was great.
I can't take away the genius of what 3MAR did, but it is but a band-aid solution to the huge gunshot wound that TNC suffered in the first 5 minutes of this game. They're still down 5K, and really their only hope of winning is still on Benny Cutie.
Yeah,
that hasn't changed.
What we're seeing here is video game logic. You get shot in the head, you eat a burger, and you're still okay.
You get the full heal, man. That's what they're trying to go for here. I think a big part of it too is if somehow Chaknu is actually able to find a Nasha. That might be such a big moment or when that happens, and that's what Chaknu's been hunting for. I don't think you take this though, because Nasha is pretty well protected for the rest of Twisted.
Yep, a ball is not enough.
He's level 7. He only has a Heptasis. That's still not going to be enough to even burst down the Granger. You're waiting for the second item, and then maybe then the Granger will already have enough to punish and outplay a Hellcurt once a Hellcurt decides to jump in with 2 items on the Granger.
What second item is Chaknu looking for even?
Is he going for Hunters?
Hunter Strike?
Yeah,
sure.
He needs CDR.
But if you're really greedy, straight up Blade.
Oh, he's going for him right there. Nasha, he's just around the corner. He's spotted him out.
Chaknu's a different mini game he's playing right now.
This is a different game within the game.
Yeah, you have 4 members of the team playing MLBB, and he's playing
Hide and seek.
Catch a Granger.
Dishonored or something?
Dishonored 3.
Different game title, and it's just Chaknu playing it.
It's a stealth action game.
Yeah, it's a stealth. Yeah, he's essentially playing Hitman right now.
Oh, man. It's either him or I guess the only other target, is Sean and MP, but they're going to be so hard to get. Whoa! Especially when MP's just like, hey, I see you, Chuck, now I'll just shadow kill you down.
The predator becomes prey.
He's not playing alone anymore. MP's joined the game.
Yeah, you even see Benny had a reaction like that could only be linked to being yikes.
Yeah.
This is why stealth games don't get a multiplayer mode.
Hellcurt roam.
Oh, no, Zyda. He's going to have to deal with this. Again, there's a tech charge. Trying to wait for the team. The final slash is going to be used too. Zyda's already gone, but what can Lancey and 3mar do? Nasha gets the space with the flicker. 3mar's going to jump in, looking to at least get something, but a double for Sean. It's all just falling apart for TNC.
Yeah, they look frustrated if you see the player cams.
Oh, under the turret. Sean just confident as hell will just jump for Lancey. They'll get that shield. Chaknu again has to go ahead and get out. MP just feeling darn good. 5-0-1.
Yep, this is going to be one of the most impossible comebacks to pull off. Not impossible completely, but it's way too damn difficult. They couldn't get the Hellcurt rolling. Zyda and 3mar struggled, understandably so, for majority of the game because Chaknu was playing towards looking at supplementing BennyQt a bit more. They couldn't get that early trade in the bottom lane, and now they're just punished for it. That even if somehow they can find a counter, there's no way TNC Pro Team can wipe out Twisted Minds at this point.
The only players who have a semblance of a normal Mlbb game is BennyQt and Lancey. Everyone else is trying their darndest to keep this boat afloat.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Tech charge in the back line just to go ahead and zone out for the tier 2. They're going to go for it. A shadow kill under everything. MP will be able to pick up one. Zyda and Lancey both gone. There's 3mar. He follows next. Double kill for Nasha. Meanwhile, Chaknu back to his own game. He's going to go ahead and push out that tier 2 turret. Does no damage to it. And they're going to have to defend. This Holy Shield's still up. It'll pop.
Oh,
but man,
that's dirty.
That's dirty.
It only hurt the small minion in front. It keeps the siege minion alive.
Oh, what are they going to do here? They're walking with this Lord. Twisted, massive lead, 11,000 up. They can take any fight they want at this point. BennyQt gets a Divine Glaive, but man, have they run out of time here? Twisted looking to end the game. A Dark Knight Files will be popped. Chaknu eyeing this back line. The conceal's going to be used. He has to join the fight. He's looking for Nasha, but man, the game is going to slip behind. Everything as already a dominant game for Twisted as they win it 2-1.
Still in it, Twisted Minds take the series.
Twisted, well deserved. They get the point. They get the dub. And if I'm not mistaken, they've secured playoffs.
Should be. They just had to win this one, right? Either was it this or was it either this one or Onyx, I believe.
No, they got it.
This is it.
This is it. So they got it.
I think this is it. TNC, though, they played with the hand that they were dealt with. We have one more match tomorrow. Why don't we try something here? They did not want to play with no Hylos no more and play the Hellcurt. And because of that, they'll have to take a bow. GG, well played. Phoenix Army, they'll be in action again tomorrow with hopes of trying to make it into playoffs via that last best of 3.
Ooh, that's tough, man. You know, they tried something. Maybe it was one of those games, too. Like, Chaknu, you get a chance, but let's do better tomorrow.
Let's go on stage and hear from Twisted Minds. They're with Hans Galeria.
You're looking at the 4th team na makakarating sa ating playoffs. Here are your winners, Twisted Minds! Congratulations! Nosha, uunahin kita kasi, again, you're one of the rookies of this team. And considering na galing kayo sa losing streak, medyo kailangan yung i-mindset yung sarili nyo for this match to happen, knowing na isa lang yung magiging laban nyo. So, how did you approach this game? Paano nyo ba pinanalo to? How was the preparation like?
Basta super thank you kay Super Marco, siya yung nag-cheer sa akin nung puro LS na kami. Kaya yun, pas ginalingan ko para sa kanya.
Super Marco, magkakaroon din sila ng laban mamaya. As a rookie, did you guys expect na ang mga kasama mo na rookies then would make it into the playoffs unang season pa lang?
Di ko alam, naglalaro lang talaga ako eh.
Naglalaro lang talaga. Maybe, let's talk to Kaloy this time. Kaloy, going back dun sa tanong ko sa kanya kanina, did you expect na in your first season, rekta na kagad kayo ng playoffs?
Para sa amin siguro as a rookie, parang mas achievement sa amin kasi ayun nga, parang first namin makapag-MPL eh. Pero nung una talaga hindi namin expect kasi ayun nga, wala pa kaming parang experience dito sa MPL. Parang pinatunayan na namin na kaya namin mapagsabayan.
And a lot of people are looking at you right away, social media, pinapakita nyo sa lahat ng mga tao na kaya nyong sumabay. So, from week 1 to week number 8, ano ba si Kaloy ngayon?
Siguro mas consistent na tsaka mas confident siguro ngayon.
Consistent and confident. Sean, being one of the 3 rookies as well, congratulations. Nadinig na yung wish mo, kahit malayo pa yung birthday wish mo. So, at this point, you're gonna be making it into the playoffs. How do you keep the fire burning para sa Twisted Minds?
Patuloy pa rin namin i-underestimate lahat ng mga katapat namin para hindi mababa yung moral namin pagdating namin ng playoffs.
And is that what you did sa laban na to?
Yes po.
And I love the idea coming in from you guys. Coach Bon, just leaving one more or a few more questions for you. For you as a coach, did you expect that this lineup would make it into the playoffs in the first season?
Nung una silang parang confident talaga ako na makakapasok sila ng playoffs eh. Yun nga yung nakatikim sila ng mga unang talo, nag-lose streak. Siguro, kailangan lang talaga nila makamove on dun sa mga pagkatalo na yun. And kung meron man sigurong title na Rookies of the Year, deserving nila. Kasi lahat sila deserving eh.
Very much deserving. So kung rookies, not just rookie of the season para sa'yo personally, Coach. I love that sentiment. Now, you're going back to the playoffs again as the head coach of Twisted Minds who have made it into their second consecutive playoff. First round last season didn't work so well for you. Anong pinagkaiba ng Twisted Minds last season sa Twisted Minds na papasok ng playoffs ngayon?
Siguro nandito yung dati, more on invest kami sa mga experience ng mga puro sila veterans. So yun yung mga naging key namin pagpasok ng playoffs. Dito siguro lahat sila tapang eh. Tapang yung puhunan eh. Di mo makikitaan ng takot.
Love it. Never fearing, hindi natatakot. Are the minds ready for Twisted Minds to head into the playoffs? And it seems like they are. You may now take your bow once more. Congratulations to Twisted Minds for making it all happen, getting a reverse sweep kontra sa TNC. It's the rookies making it happen sa unang serye natin para sa araw na ito. We're gonna talk to the casters to know more about this game.
Did I hear that right? They should keep on underestimating their opponents.
Yes.
So that, I'm not so sure the logic checks in, but if they win though, it doesn't matter.
That's a Twisted Minds mindset.
Yeah, it's a throwback to how they started off the season. They said their mindset is they're not looking at the other pros, the GOATs, everyone in the league as people to look up to. They don't look up to anyone. They just look at themselves. They underestimate their opponents so that their morale won't be low. They don't want to think of we're going up against gods and GOATs. I don't care. We're Twisted Minds. And Kaloy leading the charge, the tech charge, yet again in this game number 3.
2 straight games on the same hero. He literally pressed load game.
Yep.
And it's a new game plus for him. He's just like, yeah, I won't die this time.
I won't die here, man. It's just, again, it was surprise because you get this same hero and you do pretty much essentially the same thing. Back-to-back games, even better here.
MVP highlights of Kaloy. Again, the bunch of crowd control that the Grok brings with the passive, with the mighty swing, everything. It seems like he was just making the most out of the entire kit of a Grok every time as a counter to what TNC wants to do. The first big trade at the bottom of the map is what set the tempo here, favoring Twisted Minds, because Jack Nuke couldn't secure the kill onto MP. TNC could not get kills there. The 4-0 start of Twisted Minds is what began the downfall of TNC.
That's gotta be frustrating. A singular enhanced basic attack, literally Grok's passive, ruins almost everything TNC is trying to set up.
Yeah,
and you saw it as early as the opening minutes of this game.
It allows him to go ahead. It's just that little extra layer of crowd control that messes things up, you know. And even if he does that, like where he just text charges in to go ahead and try to zone out from, you know, any kind of defense. But then again, at this point, they have already a massive lead. They kind of just take what they want from TNC here, and that's exactly how this all played out.
Yeah, and you know what? I think this is like a great way to end the regular season for Twisted Minds, other than the fact that they secured the playoffs. But just think of the journey that they had to go through to make it to this point. Like, you you understand why they were so hyped up, why they were hugging and jumping, that they are going to be able to make it into the playoffs as a majority rookie team. MP the King back in the playoffs again with Twisted Minds, but now with the old members of Onyx 9 Lives. This was a great game that showcased some of the best qualities of Twisted and why they had such a fantastic first half of the season. Kaloy and Sean just smooth like butter, constant motion, beautiful motion in the map and in every little sequence. This is the most early season Twisted game we've seen since then. This is Twisted at its finest.
I don't know, you're a big fan of Super Junior, but I did think that Twisted Minds could do this, to get their playoff spot by playing the same way they did since day one of the season. They just played good, fundamental Mlbb. Now, I'm going to get off their case. I'm not going to force anything new. How about we take a look at TNC? What was this? The first 3 picks were literally the best possible 3 starters for Red Side. And then they close off with
Nathan Helker. I know.
I'm not even going to say anything about the name. Benny Cutie won with this, all right?
Yeah.
What's up with the Hellcat, fam?
I don't know. I don't know the logic behind it, man.
I don't need an answer. This
I
is
know.
rhetoric.
It's a rhetorical question.
I'm throwing it out to the universe.
But I'm sure a lot of people, when they saw it in the draft, they were probably thinking the same thing. Like, okay, like a little bit we're like, okay, yay, like an assassin in the roam. But at the same time, they're like, oh no.
I think there's an equal number of people who are saying that should have been Saber.
probably.
At this point, I'm not gonna contest.
Hey, if Hellkurtz had his moments, why not Saber?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I was advocating for just pick up your Jack Noob pick early on.
Yeah.
In the first phase. They bat out the Alice, okay, that meant the Grok would go to Twisted.
I wouldn't even be against, like, putting Chaku on the Arlot, maybe.
Yeah. Just roam Arlot. I mean, dude, you know it's bad when you have a roam assassin like that and you did like 6,000 damage.
Yeah, and they picked it up. They saw the Grok. They saw the glue. And they said, Hellkurt's gonna be the answer to this.
I'm gonna stinger my way through.
Oh, is Matilda really not good anymore? I think Matilda's still pretty solid.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely other options there, but that's why I'm wondering, like, what was the decision making on their end?
Yeah. Big 4 majority going over to Twisted Minds. Our BPI rich guy going with 888 GPM. That's MP the King. Michael Indino. He's feeling himself. Again, we don't know who's going to be playing in the playoffs, but confirmed we're going to see more of Twisted Minds.
Yeah.
Who's to say, since Sui might play a game or 2 in the playoffs.
They might maximize that surprise factor of Sensui being like the tanky fighter guy, while MP the King clearly being the assassin guy.
Yeah.
If they start flexing that in the playoffs, the biggest playoffs we've ever had at Connect the Astrodome, that could be a huge plot twist.
Yeah, I think also at the same time, because that's what our meta allows right now. They could play into that in the playoffs and switch things up. We go with the utility lineup. We also have MP on the assassin if we want to.
Yep. So who am I to ask for something new from Twisted Minds? We were getting it, and we've been spoiled this whole time. Great way to put me in a perspective and what we want and ask of our favorite teams. They are one of the only teams to actually have a legitimate and purposeful role switch.
Yeah, I would say. Because remember the days when we had 10-man rosters?
We still do, technically.
We still do, but like they're one of the few teams that changes things up and has this big impact.
What a great showcase here by these 2 teams. Again, a best of 3, a win for Twisted Minds, locking in their slot. Let's throw it over to the mic check and listen how this went.
Trimar. Helcort na lang nandiyan na. Helcort P. Helcort pre, Helcort ha. Pare, ubos. Nice one P. I love you P. Ayos yun. O, kalmado ha. Hawak lamang. Pre, ganto, tabi ka mo. Dito pre, sa akin. First mo na kayo, Mac. First mo na. Baya ka pre. Baya ka lang. Kay no siya nga. Lampir to. Meron ka. Palo. Tingin sa akin. Pre. Alot nga, pre. Alot. Pre, legit. May isang minion siya.
Nice, Loy. Mas better yan. Ayun, full HP lahat, pre.
Tara, all in tayo dito, pre.
Sa TikTok ka na niyan, Loy.
Ito, nasa left position. Tingin sa akin.
Tingin sa akin. Get ready, Loy. Any.
Tingin sa akin, boy. Tingin sa akin.
sino naman siguro mapapasigaw ng playoffs dun sa laban na yon. Congratulations sa Twisted Minds dahil nakapasok natin sila dito sa playoffs ng MPL Season 16. Pero grabe yung mga plot twist na pinagdaanan. Parang kung ikaw'y fan talaga ng Twisted Minds, kakabahan ka dahil yung twisted narrative natin ay nagsimula sila ng 4-0 streak, natalo ng 3 sunod-sunod nung sa leg 1 at nung pagdating ng leg 2, 1-5 yung record nila heading into the series. In fact, 7-game losing streak sila pagdating dito sa match. Tapos nakita pa natin na extend yun ng TNC. But in the end, they are a playoff team. Congratulations din sa Twisted Minds. Nakakatakot yung kanilang pinagdaanan but well-deserving dahil pinakita ng Twisted Minds kung paano ba talaga maglaro ang Twisted Minds. Yung signature na heroes at high-octane gameplay mula sa Twisted Minds ang nagpapanalo sa kanila in this series at yung nagpasok mismo sa kanila dito sa ating playoffs. Nakita natin yung Kagura mula doon kay Sean. Nakita natin yung mga catch heroes mula kay Kaloy, yung Lanzo na sobrang aggressive, MP the King with Assassins, at syempre, Nosha on the Granger, ever so reliable in the lane. Lahat ng yan, yung identity ng Twisted Minds, ipinakita nila in this series. Kaya naman sila ay well-deserving makapasok sa ating playoffs. At ito na yung tanong. Saktong-sakto dahil tinanong dito ni Coach Bon dyan, ito na ba ang best rookie performance na meron tayo sa entire franchise era, that is starting MPL Season 8? Ito na ba ang pinakamalulupit na rookies na nakita natin? Yan ang sagutin ninyo. Pero sa ngayon, sasagutin din natin ang ilang pa mga tanong sa ating mga susunod na laban. And that question is, magkakaroon ba tayo ng 13-1 streak na naman mula sa Aurora o ibe-break na naman ba ang isang mahabang streak ng isang team like Omega? That will be after this break. So stick with us, guys. Magbabalik ang MPL Season 16.
What's up everyone? Game. Usap tayo. Masinsinan. Manood kayo ng playoffs guys sa paparating na
October 22 to 25.
Yan guys.
Gaganapin yan guys sa sa Cuneta Astrodome.
Yes sir. Sana makapasok namin ngayon guys para mapanood nyo kami doon. Good luck sa atin syempre. Bigyan natin ng magandang laban. Kaya let's go.
Medyo madugo to ha.
Bigyan natin ng magandang laban ng mga manonood. Bera na daw message mo kay Nosha. Yun guys, sabi niya, solo kill niya daw.
Hindi na, nakil na dyan si Nasha. Jack, ano nga masabi mo kay Kaloy?
Focus siya tol.
Focus tayong dalawa. Focus na kayong dalawa nak. Okay.
Ako si Scotty People. What time is it? It's game time. It's game time, baby. Pakita sino mas angat.
Yo po.
Magtulong-tulungan tayo. Straight load daw po.
Guys, shoutout sa mga kids na ko dyan. I love you all.
Wish ko lang sa birthday ko. Mag-playoffs kami. Let's go. Lord, bigay mo na Lord, oh. Last match na, kumbaga, oh. Hindi ako papayag na isa sa alay-alay natin ang playoffs run natin sa ibang team. Sabi nga sa Jordan Nunes, all I wanna do is winning. Itong laro to para kay Tito at Tita. Para sa team, para kay Coach Bon. Ay, shoutout sa mga millionaire dyan, ha. What time is it? It's game time! Puko! Ito yung, ano ko? Oy, na-prank.
Like in their case, in Smart Omega's case, they want to go ahead and
Same team this season, and then once that river's around, they have such a wide area to control, and that is one of the keys to victory, river control. You have more river to control, but more river to be fast with.
Yeah.
That's more water.
More water.
And Light has worked with Aqua for years.
More liquid, everything. Okay.
it's all lore accurate.
Exactly.
That's why I was saying yesterday, that's why they didn't win any on Flying Clouds, because Light can't travel on the cloud.
Yeah, and think about who's been the best Akai this season, who's been the best Panda.
Who?
Demon Kite.
Ooh.
Lore accurate RSG.
Ooh. That's deep lore that maybe some of our audience is about to find out, right? But we're through the first phase here. They did take out the Grok. Alice could be contested by either team here. I'm wondering what the priority for Aurora will be.
okay,
There's a juice in too, but like
Yeah,
the
Juicin.
Alice makes me feel
yeah,
weird.
it's Harris.
Oh, we forgot. It's Domenkai. It's
Oh
Harith.
yeah.
Tendencies of Aurora, they do almost always just lock in a Demon Kite, one of the Kite Brother heroes early on. And I like that Aurora actually took out the Grok. We saw how strong it was for Kaloy and Twisted Minds in the previous series, and it is, I think, one of the main traits now for the first phase.
Yep.
So Omega decided to lock into Fredrin, get a little bit more crowd control, take away the hero for Demon Kite,
Yep.
although he still has a waipu that he can play with. And I think Haji does need to pick up either the Kimi or the Juicin at this point, take it away from Yue. But the problem is, Aurora will still have a Sicilian to work. What the hell?
Whoa.
Sorry, wait.
Whoa.
That completely derailed me. Blind pick rush Claude.
Yeah, why the claw now?
That's way too early, but they might be cooking up something. And it could also be a confidence for Netsuki, because they're just looking at the gold lane matchup already. And that this is one of the Netsuki signature heroes. So now for Aurora, they have a lot of options to go for the mid. They might even, maybe that's why, because they could have gone Eve here. That's why they pick up the Claude early. But then the Sicilian and Juicin are still available for picking for, and the Kimi is still available for you.
Is this just like so much attention being placed on the gold lane that they want to seemingly funnel majority of it onto Netsuki?
Oh. You do that, but I don't know. I almost would have liked them to see it actually pick up an Alice.
Yeah, but then that'll mean both the Claude and the Alice.
Well, okay, maybe that's one of the reasons why they also picked up the Claude. They may have already thought that the Alice would get picked up by Edward. And because instead of playing a gold laner that requires you to have a good and tight formation, at least you can play a mobile gold laner who, if he gets somehow caught out by the Alice, has the BMI, can reposition, and reposition aggressively. So they got the Arlott Fredrin combo together for Omega. Still not the biggest fan of the Arlott in the hands of Super Yoshi, but it might be a redemption game.
I think that's a good point, because again, when you look at this first phase already, this is for Aurora, it's mostly this is what we see. But now on the other side, Omega, this is kind of different. And that's why I was saying, even when we got into our first match of the day, or even just this week alone, it's like, dude, even the draft has changed. The order, the priority, some of the bans coming through and everything else. It's interesting to see how both these teams draft here for Coach Masters Basics and Coach Rura.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Omega wants to prioritize the Kimi still. Because, like, I don't think Aurora would... No, that still could be. Because, like, this is a very magic-dependent lineup, but what can you do?
Either Kimi, Sicilian still up on the board for both. I like the pairing of the Sicilian Fred and the Claude together. But I think they might be a little bit more keen with picking up the Kimi.
Yeah, because it's so hard to go up against.
If they do pick up the Kimi, though, then bank on either the Sicilian... Oh, wait, they still ban on the Eve. You still have the Sicilian available for you.
Yeah. Unless Aurora takes out one of those. Although they might run out of options too if ever that does happen. And the likes of the Farsa will find it very difficult to play in this lineup of Smart Omega, so they might really want to go for that.
And what's tough is that Yue is even undefeated in the Novaria.
Oh.
So he still has a Novaria option with him alongside the Kimi and the Sicilian that we mentioned. If ever, maybe he feels like it. Is he keen on playing something like the Selena, something he showed up? But I'm thinking they might be leaning a little bit more towards a backline mage for Yue.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because Yue is just he's like one of those different mages. Like he has his own very unique hero pool that he likes to bring to the table. So you can only go with so many bans towards Yue just because that hero pool is so deep. And now they do take the Kimi for Smart Omega. This is great because if you look at this, they have so much crowd control that they can go ahead and lean towards to deal with what Aurora has in this first phase.
Yeah, and you do have to have those skills to reposition up against an Alice. It's been so annoying to go up against recently. So that leaves us with the Sicilian we'd mentioned earlier and a roamer for Light.
Yep.
I'm thinking if they're willing to play pick-off again for Light.
Like the Franco?
Yeah. Franco, and then if they get Burst, if they somehow end up with Burst, they can go Kaja also, but I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Franco with the hooks. You can still go tanky as the Gata Kaja is still open, but it's a very mobile lineup that I wonder if they're willing to play into it. Oh, excuse, I forgot Kalea.
Whoa.
And this is the second Angela game for Yue. Already played it earlier this season with a win. So very strong sustain. Folks, it's Ube.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's a lot of sustain.
It's Ube time.
They might need to put this Arlot in XP. They need a different roamer that has heal.
There's so much sustain here, man. Do they flex the Arlot then?
Oh god.
If Omega doesn't snowball,
pick up an Esme? I don't know. Like,
Esmeralda, Alice, not too sure. I think they're playing the roamer pick for Yoshi. I think just go Gatot. Consider Minotaur again. I'm a big Minotaur advocate. He's great. The heal, good AoE for the Harith. Or he can go aggressive like Khalid. That's neither of them.
Oh, there it is.
They're still playing the Arlot and the Roam.
Good call, me.
Yeah.
Job's done. But yeah, it makes sense though. You saw the Angela come through, and I think that's one of the things they were doing anyway, is like leaving that flexibility there, just in case they had to. Does that change things though that the Esmeralda now comes through? Like, is that much better than for Smart Omega?
Yeah.
Look at the lineup rating, by the way.
Yeah.
The index says yes.
Through where? Damage potential? Oh, just through the damage potential, but the early to late game potential list of Aurora.
Yeah.
I'd rather be looking at that as the advantage. Better pushing also for Omega, but then Aurora can just play a very solid, tight game that even if Omega open up the map, at some point they're gonna have to start playing around objectives, and all the heals that Aurora has might just be too much.
Yeah. That might be the way to go actually for Smart Omega, but if they don't end it fast enough, it won't take long for Aurora to just pull up that one team fight.
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
Well, we're going to find out here. We're going to be jumping into the land of Dawn. Once again, it's our second match here between the top seed right now going to the playoffs. It's Aurora versus Smart Omega, looking to lock in their spot, their journey to the playoffs. And it can all start here in game one. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Also, some of the emblems for both sides. And yeah, once again, I don't know, man. It's been a while since we've seen an Arlot roam.
Yeah. Saw it last week in the hands of Super Yoshi, hence why I'm very skeptical about it. Wasn't the best time for them. Game number one, not that great. Game number two, a much better performance, but they still ended up getting the loss. So let's see if this time they'll have better interplay alongside Haji. Again, I'm still one of the people who believe that Kimmy is one of the best picks that you can play up against an Angela in mid.
Yeah.
Look at Dominkai, 10 and 2, by the way.
I'm liking how they're still trying to manage the mid lane or be just as aggressive though, because of again the sustain that they have, but it doesn't really take away the fact that the Kimmy is too dominant.
Yeah.
And that there's almost nothing you can do about it when you're matched up against the Kimmy in the mid lane.
I think part of this, again, this is one of those lineups for both sides where it might be a bit difficult to actually get a pick-off in the early game where we're used to seeing that, and they might just have to wait for the level 4s and then into that first turtle objective to come up, because even so, there's just too much sustainability, at least for Aurora. So Omega would almost have to throw too much at them early on, and that's not really possible without the ultimates here.
Yeah, and there aren't any rotations that much from Aurora just yet. So they're just really holding on to their lanes, and we don't get to see that.
Yeah, I like how they're actually not forcing rotations out of Light and Yue. They know that they have to let the minion waves crash in at the center so that it's easier for them to clear and trade. I wonder if they're willing. Demon Kite?
Oh, Falling Star Moon already used. Demon Kite doesn't get to even use their attribution to contest. The Boundary Tracker will be dodged. Edward 2 coming in. But Smart Omega, they just decide to disengage. They don't even fight.
Oh, look at Haji going at it towards Edward.
Oh, Netsky versus Dominkite, and with a hard guard, he might actually win this. There's the Purify, but that won't be enough to save him. First blood goes to Dominkite. Tsunami Slap on Super Yoshi, but without anyone else with him, there's not much he can do. That's a kill onto Light.
And that is a signature Aurora rotation. They're not going to be able to secure your first turtle, but then since you have the global presence of an Angela, just hop onto the Harith real quick, and Light able to show up in time through the river surge.
Okay, James, he'll get spotted out. He's going to be fine, but that's one of the things, again, I think it's almost Aurora also understanding the power spike ability of this lineup, the fact that, okay, it's one turtle. If we're not there for it, we just give it up. We can go grab kills if we want. Again, this is a lineup that's built for these pickoffs too. with the Kalea. Again, a roam hero that performs so well in that job. But then it gets even easier when you look at it and you say, okay, there are two purifies over on the other side for Smart Omega, but we can also just rely on Edward to go ahead and tank things up if he has to. Light can go and get a battle spell out, or he can just follow through later on to get those Tsunami slams down. And that's something that Smart Omega has to play around and balance as this game goes forward.
And Neski's also been having a tough time in lane. It's roughly a 500 gold lead that's been floating around, favoring Dominkite's Harith. So now with Omega going for a 4-man rotation downside, okay, they're not going to commit it. They're still going to go for the purple buff instead. At some point by Turtle 2 or Turtle 3, they need to try and get 1 kill already on this Harith.
Yeah, but that's the thing. At this point, since Dominkite's been clearly winning the laning phase and that there's a hard card that just can come save him whenever he needs to, it won't be an easy task for Smart Omega. And even if they do want to go for pickoffs on other parts of the map, Aurora just playing it too safe. And it's surprising to think that it's still working for them, even though they're the ones that are just waiting for the right timings. Omega could be the ones to start things up, but as it seems right now, they don't get to find enough information about Aurora.
Okay. They want to fight for the second turtle.
Whoa.
Oh, Flicker.
What? It's actually Light who starts things up instead, and they actually went for Super Yoshi. They won't have the final slash anymore to set up any team fight. Dominkite also joining the fight as well. James is the one being targeted right now. Edward, he gets the touch, the Appraiser's Wrath, but not for long. UM might not be able to pick up the kill either, and that'll be a double kill that goes over to Netsky.
That's a really good counterplay there by Omega. So Edward flickered forward to try and secure the kill onto Ryzen, but he holds on. However, Aurora will still get the turtle. The fact that Nesky, though, was able to get a double kill evens out a little bit of a struggle that he faced in lane. Still, it might not just be enough just yet. Omega needs to start getting a bit more.
Oh, now it won't be enough because Dominkite takes him down. There's the hard guard as well. Super Yoshi has the final slash, but he will just get to dash away. Haji doesn't even land the solar beam, and Dominkite might still go for it, but Super Yoshi now safe under the turret.
Oh man, it's the combos of the waves, but also just this Dominkite Harith, man. Traction pulse used.
Wow, Haji, massive, but that's 2v1. He's not going to get the big win there. Best Harith in Season 16 is Dominkite.
Yeah.
And hey, you get a heart guard on top of it, man, that's going to give you all the confidence you need if you're Dominkite, like we just saw. So this is what we were talking about. Might be a little bit late to that 5-minute mark we looked at when it's Aurora's gameplay, when we looked at that specific stat a couple weeks ago, but it still stays true. You know, they get themselves this nice bit of a lead 6 minutes into this game, and now it's Smart Omega that's like, all right, how do we keep this from getting too out of hand? Because that's what happens in these matches against Aurora. They'll take the lead, they'll keep putting the pressure on the team, and it's hard for teams to kind of catch up to that. You're seeing the tier 1s fall down. Edward, you can see it. The hard guard is ready.
Oh, and now they might have to use it. Appraiser's Wrath will be enough to take him down, though, but Dominkite still just landing the free hits. Demon Kite joining the picture, however, will try to focus down on Ryzen instead. And on the other side of the map, however, Dominkite isn't able to handle things on his own. And now Demon Kite, no choice but to escape. But will they let him? Super Yoshi finds him still.
Forget what I just said. Smart Omega was like, hey, we can keep up. We'll go ahead and get what they need, plus some kills.
Yeah, great counterplay. Good thing Nesky was able to BMI out when he first entered with the Blazing Duet, as there was a lot of damage coming out of Dominkite. Super Yoshi was the hero of the sequence there. Even at the end, he committed the flicker forward vengeance and was still able to get the Dauntless Strike as well to get that stun.
I guess you could say Super Yoshi's awake, man.
Yeah.
You know, he is setting things up here for this, so they've gone and diminished the gold lead that I just mentioned, about 3,000 for Aurora earlier on. It's gone, and now Omega really in a good fighting form, leading into this Lord in about a minute and a half.
He didn't want to be the first pickoff anymore.
Yeah, he was tired of it.
They needed him to be there so they could actually set things up decently, because James could only do so much as an Esmeralda. He's going to be somewhat of a disruptor, but he can't offer any form of crowd control aside from that brief stun you get from the Falling Star Moon. So they definitely need to have Super Yoshi for those vengeance and for those Dauntless Strikes. But Edward too, I don't know if he was expecting that much attention when he was just trying to zone everyone from Smart Omega.
Yeah, you could even see the bit of a slight hesitation on Omega. They were still just poking down the Alice, and then once they realized, wait, it doesn't seem like Edward wants to go anywhere that far. Okay, I think we can actually fight into this. They were ready, and they decided to go for the swing. Skypiercer already built up for Haji on this Kimmy, while it's still only a glowing wand for this Angela. So the raw sustain being dished out by the Angela and Kalea together, just the fact that they are together in a lineup.
I was going to say, is this going to be a sandwich here? They do spawn them out, but they did use the conceal. Edward will make his way. He's going to have to use the Throne of Ruin because that traction pulse from Haji. So neither team committing on fighting each other there. They know this big objective, that Lord, is going to come up in about 30, so they're scrapping up what they can and then getting into this position. It's about as even of a fight that we'll see here in this first Lord take.
Yeah. Although Smart Omega, now that they're able to group up, and it's surprising to see that they actually have a decent amount of gold in the hands of both Netsuki and even Kaji. They might be able to be a lot more confident to take on fights. Even just now, we saw how the Blazing Duet dealt enough damage to Dominkite once they were able to isolate him away from the other members of Aurora. And he's actually a bit ahead of Dominkite in terms of gold.
Yeah. I think we have to see Aurora start things off here, especially through Light. Get another pick off again onto Yoshi, or maybe even, no, 3 purifies. It's tough. Yeah, you can only really just pick out Yoshi and then just try to build from there. Hope that you can take down Ryzen and James.
Yeah, that's why I was saying you got to get the purifies out here. I think even with this case, even though Ryzen's on a Fredrin, he's going to go ahead and take his time pulling through on this Lord. So neither team committing to it. Again, having both the tier 1 turrets in the mid lane for both sides also kind of helps manage this a little bit better, but you could expect, if anyone's going to start the fight, it's probably going to be Super Yoshi. Like, he's going to go ahead and use that flicker if he has to. If not him, then the traction pulse from Haji.
And for Aurora, it should be Light again.
Yeah.
Similar to what happened earlier. But the way that Smart Omega are positioning themselves, you don't get to reveal much. And Edward, if he does the exact same thing earlier and throws out the Crimson Gleam in the wrong direction, that could be an immediate punish again for Smart Omega, so they have to be extra careful about it.
By the way, we have an MPL fan insights quest. Answer the survey. You can just rewind it a little bit if you want. Scan the QR code. Don't forget,
QR.
October 22 to 26 for the MPL Philippines Season 16 playoffs.
Yep. Some of the tickets already sold out, so make sure you guys grab it while you can. This is going to be one hell of a playoffs ahead of us, but starting up, they're going to go for the Lord.
Well, James is actually dealing with Demon Kite and Edward. Ryzen secures it though, but there goes the Tsunami Slam, but they're all separated, and the Blazing Duet is able to deal so much damage, and the double kill for Haji. Dominkite just trying to look for trades, but then they will be able to escape, and in turn, Aurora, they lose 2 members.
Constant basic attacks coming out from Omega, the zone out by James, and this lineup is working. The gamble. Yoshi!
They force out the Purify from Dominkite. Still not enough to get a kill, but they might take this mid-tier 2 down to half HP.
Oh, Yoshi is feeling it, man.
Yeah, after the first 2 deaths, he was like, all right, now, Grandma, I gotta wake up, man. I slept good tonight. And then last night, I mean, that's what I meant to say. All right, so concentrated energy, no wonder the team fights keep getting harder and harder for Aurora, because Haji, again, locked in the items, and even now Netsuki has a significant, good lead over the Harith, up to a Magic Blade as well, so that's going to help him with his entries when he goes in with a Blazing Duet under the Zaman Force of the Harith to help reduce and mitigate the magic damage brought out by Dominkite.
Oh, again, this is just showcasing how competitive it is right now. Again, number 1 team, Aurora, top seed. Oh, Edward.
Edward goes in. He tried to force out the Purify from Haji. Successfully does, though, but it might be an exchange on his life. And there you go with the Appraiser's Wrath. Super Yoshi! Stunning 2! And the Blazing Duet to couple it up. Double kill again for Haji. James will be traded out. Ryzen, could he be taken down here? He does have the mobility, but it won't be enough. They take down 2 for 2.
Even losing 2, Aurora will still fight under the turret. It was a great attempt from Smart Omega. The idea, the concept were there, but they still got to respect the damage that Aurora can pump out.
Yeah, the raw damage, the little bits of heal, the surge to life coming out through the Kalea. And yes, Omega, though, still in a relative control compared to Aurora, considering that they have the tower advantage 6-2 as we go back to the replay. This was after the Throne of Ruin of Edward. Look at where Demon Kite is, able to stay safe. Even though he gets hit and clipped, he's able to traceless out. Yoshi gets the great final slash, but Light with the counter Tsunami Slam to make sure that they get the kill onto James. Then they'll be able to punish Horizon.
Yeah, it was a great setup. It was a great response, but the idea was right from Smart Omega.
Yeah, they did get to force out the Purify from Haji and even James, I feel, if it's just that. But Aurora couldn't really catch up. Ryzen did so much to block off their way just to reach those other members of Smart Omega. And that might be a bit tricky for Aurora now, considering that Smart Omega, on the other hand, have so many ways to just go in and out of the fights with the amount of mobility they have.
Yeah, not to mention, you know, Haji's done a phenomenal job at just staying alive.
Yep.
Whether that's with the traction pulls, he's able to go ahead and get the thrusters out, or just the Purify alone. You know, like, he's so hard to catch for Aurora, and he's guarded really well too, whether that's Super Yoshi, Ryzen, or James. And so this is working out great. They're going to go ahead and start up this Lord. This is the second one of the game. They're going to go ahead and start it up, but we'll see how it plays out. Under half health right now. Traction pulse used.
Okay, Edward gets to dodge it though. Mountain Shocker already used. Will James get taken down? He is still a bit tanky, but he's starting to feel the damage. Already uses the Purify. So Aurora knows that he doesn't have it now. Could be a target for Light.
Yeah, he has to go back though. I don't think Omega, good call. They just blitz it. They get the lure without a problem because Aurora committed a bit too much to try and get a kill and advantage first. I think they expected Omega would heavily fight into it, but they didn't.
They didn't, and they also knew the Zaman Force wasn't there, so Doman Kite can't rely on that because, again, like I said, Omega had to respect Rora's damage. Rora has to respect the amount of crowd control and Super Yoshi's ability to catch them if he wants to and go for that. So looking at this, again, this is still very close. You have that Lord over here on that side. They're going to be pushing in. Is Rora in a good position to stay in the game, to stay on the defense here?
They should be able to. 3 minion waves crashing in though, but they have so much damage that they can clear minion waves very quickly.
They have to be prepared for that potential final slash flicker combo.
Yeah.
I think that's what can seal the deal for Smart Omega in this game.
Okay. UA already has Flask of the Oasis and just built up a Holy Crystal, so Omega need to be careful.
Hold on, Edward?
Oh, Edward going in once again. Gets to stun multiple members, though. It's already tanky enough. Ryzen is the one being taken down and prioritized right now. Edward doing such a great job, sustaining everything for Aurora and buys them enough time to deal with the Lord all by itself.
I guess they do defend. They lose the base turret. But man, Smart Omega, they realized it's going to be more difficult than they thought to get the game.
Yeah, Netsky was brought down way too low, way too quickly. It was only Haji who could bring out dependable damage in there. And I like how Aurora actually didn't wait for Omega to crash in and initiate and try to go for the counter punch. They sent Edward right away to send Omega back and reeling.
Yeah, that was what I was expecting too. Like, for them to just be prepared for the setup and to fight against it with the counter plays. But Edward went in first. Surprisingly, it was tanky enough. And now they're the ones trying to push against Smart Omega, but they don't know James is there. Now they do. And it's a successful defense for Smart Omega.
Yeah, good spot there. But, you know, Roar's having a hard time getting some of these turrets down, even on that.
Yeah.
They essentially, what they've done is, yes, the lead hasn't changed much, but they're getting some of these crucial defensive items now that they need. One of those was Doman Kite picking up the Winter Crown. We'll be able to buy him a little bit more time. Smart Omega has had that, though. Again, they've had these defensive items that they needed, and it comes down to now we have to look at the team fighting on both ends. You know, how does Smart Omega approach these fights? A lot of the times they know, okay, if we get Doman Kite to go ahead and use the Zaman Force, then we have somewhat an advantage. Both teams have these initiation possibilities, whether that's Edward coming in or Light or vice versa from Mega. They can also utilize theirs, so it's going to be this push and pull. We haven't seen a really a contest, like an actual contest for the Lord, though. I'm wondering if Rora feels like they're in a position to, or if they just want to keep turtling up in the base and rather defend there.
Yeah, it's so hard for Aurora to find their positioning when it comes to the objective fights, because James is just right there. He's just blocking everyone.
I think it all boils down to the timing of the entry for Netsky. And if Aurora can find that claw, because again, Netsky was found out relatively quickly in that base siege earlier. So as long as Neski's healthy, then they'll have the damage. If it's just Haji pumping out majority of the damage, they won't have enough. He's trying to bait it out.
Yeah, I think they are at this point. Again, you still have UA there on the bottom side, managing that wave. They might just blitz it. Omega.
Wait, they do see that Demon Kite still clearing the wave in mid. Now they won't have enough time to contest, but they might actually take on the fight. Look at the damage coming from the Kite brothers. Rise is the first to fall. James might be next, but he gets to walk away. The stun doesn't land from Super Yoshi. Haji doesn't land it too. But Omega losing Ryzen only in exchange of the Lord.
Yeah, that means they're not going to be able to end it unless they find the miraculous pickoff. What a play by Aurora. Domikite was in the perfect spot. And then Edward yet again committing the flicker entry alongside the Throne of Ruin to set things up alongside the Harith. Good thing Omega was able to back out though so that they wouldn't lose more. That almost looked like a scenario where they could get wiped out. But now let's see if Omega can get something. They're trying to slow down mid as much as they can. But yeah, they're not going to be able to end it just yet, as Aurora will be able to take down this Lord very quickly.
Yeah, they'll clear this out. Omega staying kind of aggressive in this. They at least want to get this base turret down if they can. They should be able to, but the Lord finally making its way to the base here. Traction pulse thrown out. Super Yoshi, is he actually going to flicker forward, or is he just going to get this turret down? They might take the discipline route. That's how you're going to do it if you're going to be the top seed team right now.
Oh! Mountain Shocker has the immortality though, but the hard guard's already used on Demon Kite. Demon Kite actually finds the last hit. James is already down.
Minion waves crashing in. They'll be able to clear it out though. What a pick. I think James overestimated his ability to survive there.
Yeah.
And it goes to show how crazy the damage is right now on this Harith. He uses Purify so that it wouldn't get crowd control, get a little bit of movement speed boost, but he still got clipped by Domikite.
Ooh, so it's all been just these exchanges back and forth, but you have to go ahead and look at the fact that the map is still for Omega.
Yeah.
They still have, even down to that tier 1 in the mid lane, they've held on to it for the longest time. You're 20 minutes in. They might finally lose it though, but you know, they maintain base turrets too. So for Aurora, you're seeing the power spike this lineup has. And Omega is now starting to go ahead and second guess some of their own positioning because of the amount. Oh, wow, Domikite, okay.
Okay.
He just he got the final slash out.
Yeah, James swapped out the immortality for the Winter Crown.
Edward?
Does Edward get to find a way out of this? Hard guard already used. Demon Kite not in the best position to fight just yet. They'll just walk away, and they again have to deal with a wave.
Yeah, they're going to blitz the Lord.
Yeah, Omega can 100% blitz the Lord right now, but US hard guard will be back in time. Can they get close enough?
Oh, this is a little bit of a beefier Lord here. They are going to get position, but Aurora shows up and they can't fully commit to it.
Yeah, hard guard is back, and the problem right now for Aurora is there are minion waves crashing in. If Yua decides to join in the fight, the minions might end it.
He has to deal with it before he joins the fight. But they definitely need the hard guard if they want to take on this fight. And those are 3 waves coming in all at the same time. Can Yue actually deal with it? Demon Kite returns and helps him, and that'll mean Omega could just burst him down. But Edward going in, will it be enough? Uses the Winter Crown, won't be enough. Now, Demon Kite joining everyone, blazing to it, already used by Neski! And he gets bursted down just like that. The flicker from Light as well, forcing out the Purify from Haji. But they still want to fight this. They've already used up majority of their resources, but they still are gonna fight a Winter Crown from James. But with the damage that's coming in from Dark Kite and Demon Kite, he will not stand for long. Super Yoshi next, popping the immortality. They switch targets now, looking for Ryzen, but it's Super Yoshi who they take down instead.
They still have to deal with the Lord, but man, that was so good for Aurora.
Too much damage, and Omega decided to call the fight because they thought that no one could have gone back. But Edward already recalled and went back to base. Still, Omega cannot end, despite Ryzen playing out of his mind for Omega.
Ooh, what a game 1 in this series right now. 22 minutes into it, the pendulum swings in favor of Aurora based on that team fight. Again, yes, Omega has the map advantage, but they might have to play into that. By the time we get to the next Lord here, we're still a minute plus away. But, you know, it's not going to be the same situation where they can just blitz it like they did previously. So maybe part of the game plan is either Netzi goes and helps with potentially pushing into the base and causing a distraction, or he just has to have better positioning, because that fact that they got Netsky down and he blew up literally.
Yeah.
That's not what you want here for Smart Omega.
Yeah. Netsky already now with an Athena shield. He also built up a potion for himself. See if they'll try to pull the trigger on a big play, but because of the minion wave advantage that they have, Omega, they must be so frustrated. They're doing everything right as much as they can.
Yeah.
But again, it all boils down to the timing of Netsky. This Harith of Dom and Kite, along with the Angela and Kalea to help support it, is too much.
Yeah, the Kite brothers have been throwing out so much, especially if they just find you in one instance wherein you're not positioned where you should be, and that applies specifically for Netsky during that one instance where he just had to receive the stun from the Mountain Shocker and then he just disappeared in the blink of an eye. So that cannot happen again if you are Smart Omega. But could you or should you be looking at a potential different angle to deal with this now? Because Aurora, they're starting to adapt to this repeated sequence that we're seeing that takes place whenever there's an objective, but now they're the ones who actually started first.
Roro wants a fight here. They're holding that Lord at a little bit above half health. Some immortalities come to play. Edward's going to be caught out.
Oh, blocking everything. Does he have the Winter Crowns? That's the majority of the members of Omega with a Throne of Ruin, and now they get to isolate so much, but Aurora, they decide to fight. They're taking down Smart Omega one by one. James is going to be next, popping his immortality. Rising, picking up the Winter Crown too, but what can that do? He's left with Haji and Netsky, and Aurora, they're still going to take the Lord.
One of the big reasons why Aurora was able to leverage a good position for this Lord, the first Lord they will get this game, is because they decided to split push up top to make sure that they have a minion wave that forces a reaction by Omega to go up top first, and then they gave up their position in the Lord, giving it to Aurora, and Edward again on this Alice, making it look so easy every time with a flicker Throne of Ruin, add a Winter Crown for extra flavor too.
We're going to look at the replay here in just a second. Again, this has been such a endurance test for both teams, but look at this. This is the setup. Edward gets caught out, and he's like, just kidding. Here I am, Throne of Ruin, sets things up, and this allows that space under the Zaman Force for them to capitalize on pumping out the damage, and Omega has no choice but to disengage, and now they're facing it down a beefed up, power up Lord, finally taking down base turrets of Smart Omega.
Yeah, and imagine Edward was still alive after all that. Oh, Traction Pulse didn't land, and now they actually gain access to Haji. He might have to return to the base to get some HP back, but is this enough for Aurora?
It is.
Super Yoshi going in, doesn't even land the setup, and after 25 minutes of holding on, Aurora finally get to end game number 1.
An endurance test for game 1. It looks so close for Smart Omega, but man, Rora shows you why they're at the top of the standings in the top seed.
Omega could not end it. You know, one point a Harith, every time he has a Salmon Force and dashing, would have half of his health as a shield? That's insane.
Yeah, that was an endurance test.
I don't, you gotta give it up to Omega though, man. I don't think there's been many teams that have given Rora this kind of pressure. You know, like from start to finish, they maintained a lot of this. They did bring some of the favor back to their side a couple of times, but it was just unfortunate. They couldn't finish the game. And this is, once again, we say it a lot, guys. MVP Doman Kite, give him the Harith, and he will do work. He is 10-2 before this game. Now he's 11-2.
Yeah, I mean, when was it when they were able to actually take down the first turret in mid? I think that was past 20 minutes already before Aurora were actually able to take it.
And it's 100% kill participation. Aurora were 100% playing around this Harith. MPL, teams, stop giving this Harith to Dominic. I've been saying it for weeks now. Yes, he's lost 2 times, but he's won 11 times now. At this point, Aurora know very damn well how to play around the Harith.
Yeah, I even thought it was going to apply for Netsky because it felt like they were drafting around it, but it's, again, the laning, the dominance that you get to see from Dominkite, his ability to just always hold everything in place for his team that they barely need to worry about it. Even without the rotations coming in as much in the first few minutes of the game, Dominkai could handle himself.
Yeah, and again, the sheer amount of heals that Aurora has, eventually Yue would build the Flask of the Oasis. I mentioned once that Holy Crystal was locked in, it would be so difficult for Omega to end this game. It would take near perfect execution and a mess up from Aurora to be able to end it. And even if they could get Edward down, it was this scenario, Light still being able to hold on and getting a Tsunami Slam to lead into a string of sequences that led to a 2-2 trade. And the fact that James getting caught out here, again, an underestimation of what the Harith can do at this point, and an overestimation of your own tankiness.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. I really liked what Smart Omega was doing here for the majority of this game.
Yeah.
Even I gotta say, Super Yoshi was locked in for this game. It just feels like at some point throughout this, Aurora finds the adjustments they need. And turn this game in their favor.
Yeah, one of the plays here, when Netsky decided to BMI in Blazing Duet, he walked right into the turtle boat ship of Demon Kite, stunned him, and he got bursted down.
That reminds me of the Cloud Prince incident. It was a bit too similar, but...
This is the boat prince now.
The boat prince. Man, it's unfortunate because they had such a good game here, and I just feel like you got to say that's one of the things Aurora has done. There's obviously Aurora has had many 3-game series and everything like that, but if you notice the way that they play, even if they're down, that patience, that discipline allows them to go ahead and bring a game back in their favor, and that's what makes them so strong.
The reason why Netsky got smacked by that turtle ship in the face is because Demon Kite held onto it. He was really waiting for the Claude to come in, and once he saw the BMI entry of the Claude, bang, turtle ship to the face.
Yeah, and I just have to say that Aurora just keeps getting scarier as time goes by. Yesterday, it took them an entire game to adjust against what AP Bren did to them in their series, but now it took less than 30 minutes of them just holding on, trying to prolong the game, and eventually finding a workaround. Because that one Lord that they got, as mentioned by Renmar, the only Lord that they got in the game, that was the first time the waves were actually pretty decent on their side. And that didn't happen just randomly out of nowhere.
I still won't forget seeing Yue on the Angela try to like keep the base together with 3 waves pushing in, and he's like, Kite, I need some help here. So Demon Kite joins him, helps him a little bit, and then that clears in things because, again, that's basically what Yue had to do on the Angela.
I think I like that too about Aurora, the fact that they're not as afraid of letting go of the objectives if they're confident that they're able to win in the team fights that they get to force after Omega secures the objectives for themselves. Because I think that happened quite a number of times, but it was only until that last team fight where we saw Aurora just really confident and capable of dishing out the damage against Smart Omega. Because even before that, Edward was already scouting everyone. He was already able to force out a couple of skills from the members of Smart Omega. So it wasn't entirely just a fight that they started after the objective was taken by Omega. They did, in a way, set up for that too.
Yeah.
Wow, what a crazy game. Aurora, again, you can't just stop commending what they brought out here. And the why, for the longest time, lineups with multiple sustain was the bane of existence for teams internationally. They brought back Ube.
They brought it back.
It was like peak Ube, except like, you know, it's an Alice in the EXP instead of the gold. Double heals, playing around the key, core, gold laner.
Yeah, it wasn't as dominant of an Ube from start to finish, but it's terrifying how masterful it looked like, especially if you don't get to end it before they reach their power spikes.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where you know, like, man, they have this lead, they have this, even the Lord marching in, but they just can't end it. And part of that was because, like Renmar mentioned too, within the game, Aurora's lineup allowed them to clear the waves so well. That's another reason why it helped. Harith is a big part of that. As you can see, they carry their Dome and Kite. Also the BPI Rich guy, but that's one of the things. I'm still surprised some teams let Aurora grab that Harith. Because I feel like that's one of the main components too for a lot of the team, a lot of the wins that Aurora's had when Dome and Kite gets his hands on the Harith, because he plays it in a way that you don't see too many gold laners play the Harith. Like that's something I feel like a big part of that is Dominkite can also rely on the rest of his team to allow him to do that and make some crazy plays happen there.
Yeah.
So once again, that's game one. And that's kind of crazy.
Game one.
Yeah, that was just game one because that was 25 plus minutes, and it was one hell of a game. You got to really put respect there for Smart Omega to do what they did against, like I said, such a team that is. A lot of teams are looking for that weak point in, and I feel like there was a moment really where Smart Omega was able to go ahead and find that. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't capitalize on winning game one. We'll see how they adjust. But before that, guys, we also want to invite everyone watching to showcase your esports skills and passion for gaming by organizing your own local tournaments through eProject Esports for Everyone.
Yep, participants in this program will be provided with special access to tournament modes, in-game items, diamonds, and more.
Yeah, all you gotta do is visit the MPL Philippines website for more information and how to apply.
So join while you can. Esports project for everyone. We'd love to see you guys. And part of this is celebrating something special. You guys have probably seen a little bit, about this in your own game. But I would like to ask you guys a question, and my definite answer to this is no. But do you like to dance?
Yes.
Because celebrate by dancing to the 9th anniversary Glam Up Challenge by the Moonton Student Leaders, Philippines, and MLBB Community Heroes. What does that all mean for them?
I think for you to find out, you just have to scan the QR code so you get to discover the details because you can't miss out on this. I think there are amazing prizes awaiting you. So dance and celebrate MLBB's 9th anniversary. We have a really cute mascot and a very cute girl group that we will be seeing in-game very soon.
I love the Fanny skin.
Yes.
I love the Juicin skin.
We have seen it.
I love all of them.
I've seen the clip going around.
Oh, the one from my stream? Oh, yeah.
To be fair, it's all... I gotta say, man, the skins that have been coming out, the past, half a year, maybe even a year, they're so good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't have enough diamonds to go around.
Have you seen the Vexana and...
Yes, the
I
Asterisk.
got both this morning, man.
Both.
How much did it cost you?
A good amount.
Okay.
Cost a good amount.
I will just say there's a reason why I do a lot more VOs this season.
Hey, he's going to get a good amount of his dandruff-free scalp. That's what he's going to get here. Supercharged with clear. There we go. Dude, this looks like almost like the guy from yesterday.
He's our Clearhead super fan of the day, and as you can see, his scalp is very much dandruff-free.
I hope they get diamonds
Even
in
though
that
he's
bottle.
wearing white, I'm pretty sure he's dandruff.
Did you ask for diamonds in the bottle?
Yeah, like diamonds in the bottle. Like there's a code, they put a code in there. That'd be cool.
Where?
But you have to use up
But
the
you
whole
have to
bottle
use it
first.
Yes, you have to use it so that you actually
And then
use
you open it?
and then
Yeah.
you get the code, and then you get your diamonds
Ah.
to go ahead and spend on the amazing skins.
You have no choice but to use it.
Yeah, there's a marketing plan for Clear.
You're welcome. Hire me any day. I'm spitting facts every day. Spitting ideas.
Because once you try it, you realize how good it is. So I haven't tried it. Should I?
Yep.
Should I?
You
Why?
should. Yeah, you should. No, I'm just saying you should try Clear.
I will. Tomorrow.
All right. Well, right now we're going to go ahead and take a little gander, a little listen to our community tournaments. Let's go ahead and take a look, a watch at this one.
Guys, at sa lahat ng mga MPL fans sa buong Pilipinas, merong ongoing and upcoming tournament ang ating mga MPL teams.
May chance kayong manalo ng mga diamonds and many more. And balita ko, nag-grand finals na nga daw. Nagsimula yan sa Clash of Sonics.
Yun nga talagang paldong-paldo itong mga teams na to. At congratulations sa winning team ng Sonics. Pero balita ko pre, ongoing na rin ang registration ng Cavalry.
Oh.
Nagsimula yan ng October 6 at magpapatuloy.
They took out the Arlot themselves, so... Oh!
Oh, they're going to go Kalea.
Yeah, and they picked that really fast. I think they had their eyes set on picking that one up. Arlot Dan, interesting. I think they're still respecting it. And yeah, I think now with the Granger on board, I think Aurora acknowledged that wait a minute, this might not be going the same way if we still end up giving the Arlot later.
So now, it's a mid-hero for you again, and...
Just go for the Jello again, honestly. Oh, we know, but with Kalea,
But there's no Kalea.
Alright, yeah. Sicilian. I want the reach or Novaria.
Yeah.
And
Novaria
then,
for the vision?
Yeah, and then
Sicilian.
match pick off, go Franco. Or if you're gonna go burst, then you go. Yeah, you go.
got.
Oh, there you got the Gata.
Yeah, but it went to Aurora.
And the
there.
Navaria.
Yeah, there. Nova, gold, not gold, EXP.
Okay.
What are you gonna pick here? Just Esme? It can't be Esme again because it's not like you're playing around shields. Can't be the Phobius, not enough dashes. Huh.
There's no Lapu.
There's no Lapu.
The glue?
Might be the next best bet, yeah.
Glue. Little tankiness. Help with some of the displacement if you can. No, it wasn't. There was a CC.
Oh, okay. So, all right. My suggestion earlier, but then, yeah, now it works out better because it's not exactly like the same draft. So, I like it. You know what? This could honestly go either way. This is still the Harith of Dominkite, and I'm leaning a little bit more towards Aurora here. Look how animated Coach MTB is.
Yeah.
With some last-second instructions for Aurora.
Hey, though, you know, to be honest, the entire squad of Aurora has been very animated lately. I think them going into this very dominant season, into locking in the top seed, like they felt very comfortable this entire run, and you see a lot of smiles on their faces. But when they get to the game, they're so locked in.
It's the opposite of what you see when you look at Haji, but that's because he's locked in even before the game starts.
Even before the game, like he's stone cold, man. And like Smart Mega has to be. They have to go ahead and win this game to get to a game 3 here to stay in the series. We'll see if they're able to do it with this kind of lineup. It's changed a little bit from game 1. They had the right ingredients for
Mobile
game 1,
Legends.
but this time around, will it be enough to capitalize a game out and finish with a victory here? Or will Aurora stay dominant as ever and get the sweep against Smart Mega?
Trying to see where they're starting with their rotation. So, typical start for both. Nothing too wild. To see who wins the first trade, clearly with the oppressive nature of Akimi. But they get to balance it out. No one's going to be delayed. They forced out the regen already from the Gatatkacha of Light, who decided to go for the full tank set. He went beefy, tenacity, vitality, concussive blast. This is old school roaming for this Gatatkacha.
Yeah, he has to. Maybe he has to. Hold on.
Oh no, Demon Tide. Ryzen will gain access to him, and he already used his Bracelet. Last minute was able to use it again, though. Although Light will have to be the sacrifice.
Yeah, much better start this time around for Omega. Fantastic rotation, maximizing what the Kalea, Kimmy, and the Fredrin can do together early on.
Man, I'm actually surprised that Demon Kite got away with his life there, just with a sliver of health. But this is one of the things that Kalea also provides to your team, you know, that sustainability and not just the setup potential. And this is so strong in the early game, too, to go ahead and keep you in lane and keep those members topped up with that surge of life.
Edward gets the last hit on the EXP Crab, but James manipulating and controlling the waves, putting the pressure on this Alice.
Oh no.
He doesn't know Super Yoshi's there. The Tidal Strike doesn't land, so he actually will get away with this.
I think he was just able to get a grab on the air around Alice, not Alice itself.
Yeah, could have been close, especially considering that he was already poked down quite a bit.
So, you see the good thing about this Navaria pick at the center is that you can stay relatively safe to clear your minion wave. Like, you don't have to put yourself at risk too much against this Kimmy. And at the same time, in the objectives, as we all know, great with getting vision and initial damage.
Yeah, so helpful now that they get to maximize the grab. But Ryzen got isolated right there. Double man knockup from Super Yoshi, but he's forced to flicker out just to survive. James, the only member from Smart Omega who's able to get some sort of information on this objective, but that might not be enough. It's a turtle that goes over to the hands of Aurora.
Okay, so they get that, and they knew right to go for Ryzen. They wanted to get him out of the picture to secure that first objective.
Yeah, perfect entry by Edward. Ryzen almost able to get out of the Throne of Ruin, but still Flicker, Throne of Ruin, too easy for this Alice. Wonder if we're gonna see nerfs on her soon.
Yeah.
Especially
it's
maybe
weird,
maybe with just the reduction of the size of the Throne of Ruin, it feels a bit too big. And it's the pros have been making it look so easy landing it with the flicker.
Yeah, I initially thought that the self-slow would be a bit bad, but nope, it's working perfectly, even with the flicker, especially with the flicker.
Yeah, and now that Edward's able to get some momentum for himself, and he's level 4, now James can only do so much to mitigate what this Alice can do, because Edward can play aggressive in the lane now against CC, just pushing constantly because he'll be healing through the minion waves that he's clearing himself.
Yeah, so even with that case, I feel like Smart Omega, they still want to go ahead and find a way to play into the next objective the best they can. It looks like they're going to go for Dome and Kite.
Yeah, has the Purify though, and Light will be able to scout the other members. Doesn't land the AOG, but it'll be enough to at least keep Dom and Kite safe. So they don't get much out of that rotation, but on the other side of the map, James will fall.
Rinse and repeat rotation for Aurora when they have the YSS. Whoever is in the opposite lane of the second turtle, maybe even first turtle, if they got their timings a little bit earlier, that person's gonna get ganked by the YSS.
That you commit so much on that top side to go ahead and get Dome and Kite, and then you end up losing James. That's really unfortunate for Smart Omega leading into that first turtle, because it could have ended up working out for them, but Dome and Kite, he's dealt with that a lot. Again, he is so used to playing under that pressure in that lane if he has to. And yeah, he's always got that Purify here. So turtles up. They're going to go ahead and fight into this. Super Yoshi will get into position. We'll see if he's able to go ahead and get even that Purify out if he can, using that Tsunami Slam, but both teams just setting up right now.
Yeah, James has a bit of catching up to do, but Waji could barely move just with the toss that came in. And look at those skills, those star shutters coming in from Yue, just as the Throne of Ruin was thrown out.
All right, I gotta say it, Alice is a little OP now.
Yeah, perfect combo alongside the Astral Echo. Light timing it with Yue. He got the Unbreakable Taunt onto Haji, and then Edward followed in with the entry with the Alice. Omega could have only done so much there. Maybe at this time, they have to acknowledge that they are up against a Novaria, so their pre-objective positionings need to keep that in mind, because they are up against an Alice and a Gata Kacha who can easily just dive after the Astral Echo. Look at that. Taunt, Astral Echo, then Edward's gonna enter. Charging up, Throne of Ruin, Flicker as well, perfect.
That's so much distance covered, by the way.
Yep.
With the Gleam, with the Flicker, like, again, how do you counterplay that? I think teams are going to have to figure that out, because obviously Alice is going to be a big hero contested once we get to the playoffs. Yeah. We could even just see it being one of those priority bans for some teams in some cases, because given that, and paired up, like you mentioned, with the Novaria, you spot out the positioning. So it's like, okay, we don't really have, even if it's dangerous grass, man, we don't have enough bushes to hide from.
Yep, James isn't even able to do the exact same thing that Edward's able to do, like the pressure he's able to apply. Oh, but Light might get punished here. Tsunami Slam used onto him, and that'll be a pickup for Smart Omega. But going back, like, we don't feel the threat of the curtain call just yet.
Yeah. At this point, it's going to be tough for the CC, even though you're going to have to fully accept now, as if you're James, really your job is just land curtain call. That's it.
Yeah.
You won't be able to live long enough to make the most out of your yo-yo blitz, maybe for initial pokes, and then you throw out the curtain call. But at this point, with the lead that Aurora was able to build themselves through Turtle 2, with that big win that they got, it's going to be tough for the front line that Netsky and Haji are having a tough time getting stacks on their Sky Piercers, and even the Haji not able to build the Sky Piercer just yet. It's going to take some time to get farm on this Kimmy. So it might be a different story, where now it's Omega who might be able to find better wins as the game goes on.
Yeah, because right now Demon Kite's scaling out of his mind, man. Like, he's levels ahead of Ryzen. He's 2,000 gold plus. They grab themselves the 3 for 3 for the Turtles over here for Aurora. So Smart Omega is now in that position where they've got to kind of hold on. You know, they kind of got to wait to see if they're able to go ahead and grab the items they need on Netsky, for even to an extent Haji and the rest of the team, because now with the scaling that Aurora has had across the board, they're going to take what they want for a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, Aurora's just in so much control of the map. This dangerous grass map is helping Edward and the Crimson Gleams just hide and reposition himself wherever he wants to without Omega knowing.
Yeah, so many points of entry for the Salis.
Okay.
Ouch.
Okay, gets away. But even the pokes from Yue though, like...
Again, that's why I was making a big deal of the Novaria, even in the Game 1 draft.
Yeah.
Especially in dangerous grass. It's perfect synergy for this hero.
It allows the setup to be there, and that's what I was saying. The control right now for Aurora is all in their favor. Smart Omega, they're going to have to scrap up what they can, and really when you look at it, it's like, where can that be? Because every single lane is down quite a bit in terms of economy, in terms of XP even. And so that's not going to be in a good position when this Lord does come up. You got about 30 seconds. It's most likely better for Smart Omega just kind of to deal with it, let it go, and then try to defend in the base. Because with this kind of lineup, this kind of lead too, Rora, once they get that Lord later on, they're going to be in a good position to just force themselves into the base because, again, Smart Omega, it's not like they're going to be able to hide, you know what I mean, with a Novaria across from them. So, again, it's like, does Netsky have enough damage? Is the damage profile there? I feel like James is in that precarious position where it's like, your CC won't be able to do much.
Yeah.
Current call is the best you can do.
We clearly are not seeing that at least any time now. Ryzen just trying to secure this purple buff and will use the retribution even though there's an objective. So they fully accepted the fact that they're not gonna contest and they cannot contest this objective.
Omega are gonna be playing the Aurora waiting game. Flip the script and maybe as the game goes on they'll find the turnaround. But so much control by Aurora, so much domination.
Flicker down too for Netsky.
Yeah, that was just the Unbreakable too. Just because of the Astral Echo still catching up.
That is crucial. They're trying to keep this Holy Shield up, so they'll do that for Smart Omega, but they've got a lot of work to do here. That Lord making its way up top. They're going to have to deal with the shots coming through from UA too. That's always the downside when you're playing against Novaria. You're not really safe even behind the base turrets right now. The tier 2 in the mid is going to go down. That push up top. They have the Holy Shields. So can Smart Omega defend this? Are they going to force something, or will Rora force something with this almost 10,000 gold lead?
Oh, they don't have the Holy Shields up top, and now the AOG trying to block the way, but it'll actually be enough. Ryzen is the first to fall, and now Aurora can take down the mid lane base turret, as well as Omega works on the Lord. But will they stop there? They will, or they might try to go for it. James, he cannot tag it. There goes the jump coming in from Super Yoshi. He gets to catch light, but it's not the right target. It's gonna be a sweep handed over to us by Aurora.
And the lights will shine bright in a 2-0 sweep versus Smart Omega, making their chance in the playoffs a little more difficult now.
Aurora has succeeded. They match the record set by Onyx Philippines in Season 14. 13 series win streak. 13-1 to end the regular season. 13 dubs, no breaks indeed.
They ended it that way. Their only loss was at the beginning. Oh, look at Edward and Haji.
Again, there's so much respect here between both the teams and all the players, of course, here in the MPL Philippines. And it was a good try. It was a good effort from Smart Omega as they take their bow here. Like I said, game 1 was phenomenal. It was just unfortunate they couldn't end the game when they needed to. There's not that many teams that take Rora to 25-minute games. But then Rora does it so quickly in game 2. Let's throw it over on stage to hear from Rora in our winning interview.
13-match win streak. Everybody give it up for Aurora Gaming. What an experience it is, Coach. Again, congratulations. 13-match wins. Talk to us about processing yung in-between ng Game 1 and Game 2 kasi sobrang nag-iba yung dynamic from those two games or in between those two games.
Sa totoo, medyo napagalitan ko sila kasi ang dami naming mga bagay na hindi na dapat gawin ginawa nila nung Game 1, especially yung mga TP-TP na yon. So buti Game 2 naging malinis naman yung laro nila. So yan. Good job pa rin sa kanila.
Pero parang mga napagalitang estudyante Light, ano ba? Anong nangyari doon? May masasabi ka ba? May rebat ka?
Wala, yung mga wala akong ginagawa ng trabaho.
Wala ginagawa?
Si Doming ata.
Si Doming, ano ba nangyari? Ano nangyari? No comment?
Wala, nice game.
Nice game lang, nice game. Okay, mabuti ng malinaw. Edward, game number 1 and game number 2. Ang dami mo ng streak na pinagdaanan dito sa MPL. There was one with Blacklist. There was the one last season. Tapos ngayon, 13-match win streak ang team nyo. What makes this win streak so special para sa'yo? Sige, bigyan natin siya ng time. Edward, What makes this so special for you?
Yun, sobrang special kasi hindi ko man siya nagawa sa team ko before. Ayun, nagawa ko siya dito sa Aurora kasama tong mga to.
You know, I love the idea.
Priority. Alice being a key major trade. So many things have changed since their last matchup because of the reintroduction of those two heroes.
Yeah. Usually it'll be the Lancelot, but when it's Team Falcons that we're looking at, the Yi Sun-shin sounds to be more of a priority, but they can potentially save that for later. Oh, instead of any other heroes, it's still Flap that they prioritize, but on a CC.
We don't know. CC has been growing as a solid gold lane pick in the advent of gold lane fighters. So this might be such a wild left field pitch for Team Falcons that throws off Liquid. But I don't know how much of a priority a CC is. It's been a hot minute. Liquid answers back with a Lancelot and a Lapu Lapu. These two picks, I'm a little more at home with.
Now the other question is, are any of these two going to be crazy enough to rush pick the Bane in the first half? That could be something we could watch out for here. Harith, Granger, the trade is still on the table for these two, although we've seen a wide pool as well come in for Oheb. If none of those are available, he can maybe slot in an Obsidia. He plays the Bane as well, which is why we're asking the question if Bane can come out early. Usually Falcons wants to pick their few hero now alongside their jungler because they pick the Ogwen Super Marco heroes for later in the draft. Let's see if they'll continue following that pattern as the Farsa and Kimmy are available for few.
Or could they consider the Angelus?
They can't afford the Bane here.
Okay.
If you pick the Bane here, it's too telling. They get the Farsa and the Yi Sun-shin, so you get a scaling hero on Kyle. Burst on few, so they got a good solid damage source, but they'll leave the crowd control and the engagement to the later half of the draft. One more pick for Liquid.
The Harith is there too, although okay, yeah, there they go.
You don't have to doubt yourself, Bri.
Yeah,
it's a good pick. It's a good pick for Oheb. I think he currently has 6 games on it. Won about 66%.
So now these two, I think Falcons needs to consider taking out the Grok away from JP, but then we also have to put in the additional factor of what are JP and Ogwen feeling today, because the Franco's an option, Kaja's an option, even the Chip is an option for both Ogwen and JP. They have played that hero to success earlier this season.
What if, oh well, I doubt that they will take out the Kaja themselves if they might be looking to take it. But Falcons, if that so happens that they will respect it too. The roamers. Oh wait. Oh.
Wait.
That was the Oheb.
I've seen that person.
That was the Oheb lookalike.
Yeah. Oh. Holding an Oheb head cutout. What's going on?
We have to take a closer look later on again, but there you go.
That's trippy.
Oh yeah.
Where's the newly graduated Carl Teasy?
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
No. They're not related, by the way, but
even though I'm smiling,
the resemblance is there.
I can't.
Let's not try to psych out Kill One here. He's locked in. He's playing Harith. The Bane gets banned out by Liquid to close off their banning phase. Red 5. Falcons might try to take out one more roamer.
Yeah. I think they do have to consider banning out the Chip here. Even though they could easily slot in a Badang for Ogwen, I think I'd rather see them respected. You also have a Sanji hero to watch out for. But they take out the Hylos. They focus on Daddy JP with 3 bans. Hylos, Kalea, and Gata Kacha. Will JP pick his hero now? The answer is yes. He gets the Grok, and this does not bode well for Falcons. However, they do have a strong combo in the Yi Sun-shin and Farsa, because the Mountain Shocker provides that information as to where the members of Liquid are to make it safer for few. But since CC is their main frontliner, Ogwen's hero needs to be beefy.
Yeah, so it can't be the Kaja.
Yeah. They did try it against AP Bren, and they were able to make it work, but they were the victim to X-Nova's really good tech charges. This time it's JP. Are they willing to risk it again?
You know what? I think it's doable.
Where did the Khalid go? Like it's
Fight for the
suddenly.
ultimate
Oh!
glorious victory is now for
Hilda Esme. So this is a CC gold.
It is a CC gold.
Okay.
EC or Esme?
No, I think it's EC.
Oh yeah, because Esme's a way better matchup against a Lapu-Lapu.
Yeah. Oh wait.
Yeah,
no, you kind of want to run the Esme into the Harris too, but they might even have to do that, functional matchup later on. Liquid closes up with their mid lane pick, Sanji, on that Kimmy. I don't know how. You know what? Falcons did win with a Rome Hilda last week against AP Brent, so they might be playing off of the same interactions. They also had a Farsa in mid.
Yeah. The Farsa YSS seems to be one of the key combos for Falcons, but I'm still going to hold on to the thought that